Good evening, everyone. Regular board meeting, March 26, 2019, at 7 p.m. is called to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Williams. Here. Trustee Wilson. Here. Trustee Brooks.
Present.
Trustee McMullen.
Present.
Trustee Payton.
Here.
Trustee Brown. Here. And Mayor Cummings.
Present. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Thank you.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Approval of the minutes for table by Trustee Wilson, second by Trustee Oscar. Okay.
Trustee Williams. Aye. Trustee Wilson. Aye. Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee McMullen.
Both sides.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
And Mayor Cummings.
On both sides. Okay. This time we have general public. Here, can you read that, please?
Visitors are always welcome to all public meetings of the Board of Trustees. To comment on an issue, persons wishing to speak will be called upon by the mayor during Section E, General Public Comment. The interested party will stand, identify themselves, and make their comment. In order to give proper consideration to all items on this agenda, the mayor will limit participants in a debate and will close off protracted, repetitive, irrelevant, or abusive remarks. Also, please be advised that the Mayor and Board of Trustees have adopted a public comment policy which limits speakers to 3 minutes and limits the total time for general public comment to 30 minutes in total.
Thank you. And please understand that we have to hold to that. And I appreciate it because what we do have on the first Tuesday of every month, we have what we call the Committee of the Whole. And Committee of the Whole means that you will be able to dare ask questions. It's open to the public back and forth at that time. This meeting has concluded what we all agreed to be on the agenda, so we should expedite this, and that's what we're going to do. And you all have 3 minutes. I notice it's a lengthy list tonight. If we're unable to get to you, we will address it or your concerns at the next meeting. We will start.
Madam Mayor, just as a point of order and just a show of respect, I noticed that we have Mr. Rick Bryant here. He's Rick Bryant, right? Yes. Yes, we have Mr. Rick Bryant here. I believe he's with Congresswoman
Robin Kelly, I asked him to come tonight. Yes.
So if he is going to make comments, he should be allowed.
He's on the list to do that, sir.
Okay.
He's
Just so there should not be strict compliance if Mr. Rick Bryant requires a little longer.
We had a conversation, so he's going to just address. I know what he's going to do. He already understands that. He's going to have a short address. Okay. Thank you for that. Josh Small.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Board, Department Heads. As she said, my name is Josh Small. I represent Southland College Prep. I'm the president of the student government there. I just wanted to bring forth to the board today a program which I'm going to title it Youth in Government. So what it's going to do pretty much is me and my board, we're going to come up here, if you guys allow, we're going to come up here. And first of all, we're going to invite you to our school for one day to get to know you, just a meet and greet, see what you do. And then the next following board meeting, we will come up here and run the board meeting. We will pretty much explain to the residents here your job and what you do. And I think it's a very good program, and I hope that we can bring it here to University Park. Thank you,
Josh. Thank you. Now, Rick, all right, this is from Congresswoman Kelly's office, and we've been lengthy conversations, and I asked him to come here tonight to make this presentation and clarification. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, trustees, for the opportunity. My name again is Rick Bryant. I'm Senior Advisor to Congresswoman Robin Kelly. And the Congresswoman has asked me to go around and brief everybody across the district on the status of the South Suburban Airport project. It's kind of not been in the news for the last several years, but the Congresswoman, this is very important to her. This is her number one priority in economic development in the district. And she just wanted me to go around and visit with mayors, city councils, legislators, labor leaders, business leaders, and just kind of get everybody up to speed, a status report on the airport. So I'm probably going to go over my time. Trustee, thank you for that comment and the leverage or the extra time tonight. And I gave you all a package so you can kind of go through that. I'll try to speed through what I have, but and then you can have those documents for backup. So anyway, I'd like to start off with my presentation with fun facts. When was the last time we built a new airport in the United States, a major new airport? And the last one was actually Denver. That was 1995. That opened up 25 years ago. But that was a replacement airport. When that airport opened up, the old Denver Stapleton Airport shut down. So the last time we actually built a brand new airport in this country, from scratch, Greenfield Airport, added to the grid, an airport that did not exist before, was Dallas-Fort Worth. That was 1969. That was 50 years ago. That's the last time we built a major airport in this country. The population in 1969 was 200 million people. Today it's 330 million people. So our population's grown 65%, and we've not added an airport to our country. Conversely, China right now is in the process of building 100 new airports in 10 years. They've built 35 of those already, and they're planning to finish the other 65 by the year 2025. So who's keeping up with the e-commerce and the cargo demand of our world? It's not us. So why are we even talking about an airport? I kind of go way back, give you a little bit of history, but the FAA in 1985 said that Chicago, you need to start planning for a third airport because you're going to run out of capacity in the year 2000. And they were right. In the year 2000, both of our airports hit capacity. Since then, we've not grown at all. The airports, they maybe some incremental growth, but we haven't really added any capacity since the year 2000. And we've become a choke point for the aviation network in the United States. O'Hare used to be the 12th busiest cargo airport in the country. Now they're 21st. O'Hare used to be the major hub for United Airlines and for United Airlines. For United and American Airlines. I don't know if I said that right. But O'Hare used to be the domestic hub for two major airlines. Since 2000, United has moved its domestic hub to Denver, and American Airlines has moved its domestic hub to Dallas-Fort Worth. So we still have a lot of planes going in and out of O'Hare, but we're not the hub that we used to be. We don't have as many planes going to as many places as we used to have. So the FAA, was right. They said we need a new airport in the middle of the country. Why do we want the job locally? For the jobs. The airports are the greatest job generator in the world. And this airport will create 8,000 to 10,000 construction jobs for 2.5 years. On opening day, 15,000 direct and indirect jobs at the airport. And the growth will be exponential over that. In the packet, I showed you a chart. There's a chart in there that shows you job growth around O'Hare, and it's just phenomenal. There's more jobs around O'Hare than there are downtown Chicago anymore. So that's why we want it. Now, are there other areas that have 3 airports? Yes, there's 5 major metro markets that have 3 airports each. New York, Washington, Baltimore, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Southeast Florida, in other words, LA, and San Francisco. All 5 of those markets have 3 major airports. I'm talking 3 of the 50 busiest airports in the country. 3 of them are in each of those 5 markets. They're all on the coast. There's no major city in the country and the middle of the country with 3 major airports. In fact, we're the largest metro area in the country that does not have 3 major airports. So yes, we can sustain 3 airports. What's the status of the airport right now? Well, I like to say we're 90% of the way there. The last 4 years under Governor Rauner, we didn't get any closer than we were 4 years ago, but we were 90% of the way then. Under Quinn, and we're still 90% of the way. We haven't gotten any closer, but we haven't gotten any farther away. And when I say 90%, that's the state owns 90% of the land for the airport, just south of here. And the state also has money set aside and quick take authority to buy the rest of the land. So if the state wanted to, the state could own all of the land tomorrow. And I say 90% because the FAA has approved 90% of the plans for the airport. Before any new airport can be built, the FAA has to issue a record of decision, and there's 10 chapters that are reviewed and approved by the FAA before any new airport can be built. And 9 of those 10 chapters have been completed already. The first one was the need. Is there a need for this? There was also the size. What size should this be? And the location, and the environmental, and the airspace. And are you going to build it in a place where it's connected to other intermodal and other transportation hubs and utilities and all? Anyway, there's 10 chapters that the FAA has to approve before they greenlight an airport. 9 of those have already been approved. So we're 90% of the way in the approval process. We've got 90% of the land in hand. So we're pretty close. We're on the 10-yard line. What we're trying to build here is an airport that will start small. A lot of you might know this, some of you may not. That's why I'm kind of giving you the history. The airport will be small, maybe 5 to 10 gates, with one very long runway. And that very long runway, 10,000 to 12,000 feet, will give us nonstop access to anywhere in the world except Australia. That's still a little too far away. But from this airport, with one runway and 10 gates, we'll be able to reach nonstop anywhere in China, Africa, South America, Europe. And conversely, all of those markets will be able to reach us nonstop with the biggest cargo planes, the biggest passenger planes. So this airport will make us a major player in the global marketplace. It will be financed through a public-private partnership. Most of the money for building the airport itself will be from a private developer. They will build the runways, they will build the terminal, and what we need to do is, on the public side, is we need to connect all of the things to the airport. We need to build an interchange on I-57. We need to do some local road improvements because it will displace Eagle Lake Road. We need to bring utilities to the fence line. We need to get IT and broadband there. We need an electrical substation set up. We need water, sewer, natural gas. We need to bring all those to the fence line. Once we get all the utilities to the fence line, the developer will pay for everything inside the fence line. The airport, as you know, is perfectly situated between 2 interstates, 57 and 394, between 2 major rail corridors. You're right here in the hub of the intermodal logistics center of the country. I mean, it's booming out here, as you all know. This will give us the rail, the road, and the airport. So that's why we're trying to build it. We are asking the governor for capital money to do those off-site improvements that I talked about, the interchange on the expressway, local roads, the utilities. We've asked the governor for that, and we've been told by leaders down in Springfield that those projects are doable, that they view this as a statewide project. They don't view it as a local project, so the money that will be used for the South Suburban Airport connections will not be money that will be taken away from University Park or Moni or something for their local projects. You all will still be able to put in requests in the capital bill for local things. This will not count against you. What we need now is for everybody to be a champion of this project. We're very close, as I said. We're 90% of the way there. We got a new political landscape. For the first time ever, we got the best opportunity to build this airport. And I know we've been talking about it for 25 years, but we have a new governor who talks about doing big things. We're going to have a new mayor in the city of Chicago. The mayor of the city of Chicago in the last 25 years has blocked this airport. Daley and then Rahm. They woke up in the morning trying to kill this airport. They're not going to be there anymore. Lori Lightfoot has said she supports this airport. Tony Preckwinkle has said she supports this airport. So we've got a new political landscape, new local leaders in the city, new leaders in Springfield. We don't have a singular champion for this project. I suppose my boss, Robin Kelly, would be maybe viewed as that, but we all need to be that. If JB comes down here, we all need to say, Governor, when are we going to build that airport? If you see Lori Lightfoot around, say, Governor or Mayor, when are you going to be able to help us with this airport? when anybody comes here, state reps, Congress people, state senators, we all need to say, when are we going to build that airport? What can we do to help this? So that's why I'm here. I want everybody to be singing from the same hymnal. That we are this close to getting it done. We've got a new political opportunity. I really think that this is to do or die right now. And then, as far as you all know, too, you were part of ALNAC, the former commission that was set up to build this. ALNAC really doesn't exist anymore. It was a valid and valiant attempt to try to create a governance structure. It didn't work. It's not going to work under that structure. There's going to have to be some sort of new governance structure set up. I don't know who's going to do that or how that's going to be. Something we all need to think about. You all need to think about your frontline beneficiaries, frontline impactful. You need a voice at the table. That's going to be a political hot potato, but at some point we're going to need to all put our heads together, cooperate. And I think there is a lot more cooperation than there used to be on this project. Robin Kelly has brought a lot of people together from both sides of the aisle, from the city to the suburbs to Kankakee County. So we all need to, again, start pulling in the same direction. You all need to think about trying to, form find a way to how we can form a commission. Start with, who all should be included and how can we all get involved. And again, champion the airport. So if anybody has any questions for me, I will gladly ask. I know I took up a lot of time.
We did submit our capital bill, and we were told that as well, that it would have no hindrance of the airport, which we put in a capital bill of $42 million with this board.
Very good.
Also, I did talk, I talked to Robin Kelly and told her we were on board 100%. I know you're individually going out and talking to the other mayors, but will you be at our South Suburban Mayor Managers meeting to address the whole?
I was there once already, and I was.
We were talking about some more detail because I was there at the meeting when we made the presentation. But we're going to talk about more. Are you going to keep coming there?
Yeah,
different levels. Okay.
If anybody wants me to come, I'll come back here. If you want me to go there, please. I went to Springfield last week. I'm ready. Robin said just go where you need to go. So
because we did have some more questions. Some of the mayors weren't in attendance at the South Suburban Mayor Managers meeting, so I'm sure they will be requesting that you come again.
Okay.
The R&B mayors, I'm sure they will talk about this as well. We have, we do have our I-57 in place now that we didn't have before. The broadband has been installed as well. We have rail tracks have been placed as well. The one they're talking about that will go from University Park to St. Louis. So some of these things are in place since that long time it happened.
Yes.
So we're ready and willing and on board 100%. So we will talk to, and I don't know, with Will County mayors, have you talked to them as well?
Yes, I talk to them quite regularly.
Individually?
Yep, and I talk to most of the state reps out here. Everyone seems to be on board. We just need to keep pushing it. Really,
I've
we all need to champion this.
quite a few letters from state reps, and giving you the same amount of monies here that you have here, $150 million, and that's so.
Right.
We've been in touch, we've been in meetings, and we've been talking about it. Even the South Suburban Black Mayors is also. So we're all ready for this to happen to our community. So the good thing, like I said, since ALNAC hasn't been in existence, we put in the I-57 and we put in the bandwidth, but it is connected somehow with Governor State University. So we're ready to rock and roll.
Yep, sounds great.
Thank you. And I'll be getting back with you.
Yeah, Mayor, just one quick question. I know you're just giving us an update on the airport, but part of the whole thinking was the Ileana tollway.
Yes.
Do you have any information on that? Is that going to be moving forward as well?
My feeling on that has always been, and I have one other thing I want to add. I'm glad I stayed up here. I think the airport's going to come first, and that will generate the need for the Ileana. I think the former governor had it kind of backwards. He was going to do the expressway first, which is much more expensive. You need a lot more land. It's 56 miles of concrete instead of 2 miles of concrete. And that alone doesn't generate any jobs. The expressway doesn't. The airport will generate jobs. It's the biggest job generator in the world, like I said. And I think when it is here, there's already a need for more east-west connectors in this area. And I think the airport will be like the driver for the Ileana. So it's not, Indiana is still, I think, doing the studies and looking into the corridor purchase. Illinois, under the former governor, did not do anything. I think that will follow the airport closely afterwards. And then the one other point I was going to make, I forgot to say, is that Amazon Air, Amazon's taken over the world, and they are, one of their new things is they're buying 100 new airplanes. They're buying their own fleet, Amazon Air, Prime Air, I think it's called. They're going to start competing with UPS and FedEx, and using their own planes to move products. And we visited the Amazon folks over in Monee, and they told us they'll never use Midway because the runways are too short. They'll never use O'Hare because it's too far away and too congested by the time they get through all the traffic up there on the ground and then all the traffic in the airport, get on the runway and finally get out. They're better off just trucking it and training it. So, but they did say if they built an airport down here, 5 minutes from their latest fulfillment center, that they would be there in a heartbeat. And in fact, they could probably be one of our partners that are developing this because they could do they could design the sorting center right on the property while it's being built. So Amazon, we're looking, Amazon has received 40 of the 100 planes that they ordered. They're setting up 2 cargo bases, one in Dallas, Fort Worth, and one in Cincinnati, but they're looking for other cargo-oriented airspace where they can grow. And if we had an airport here, and with their proximity to the 5 fulfillment centers in Will County, I'm sure they would be using this airport. It would be a
I have
prime.
one question.
Yes.
How is that, how you supposed to incorporate that one with the South Suburban Airport? Have you considered that, working in with the South Suburban Airport? How is that working in with South Suburban Airport? Because they have the airport runway with 1 mile worth of runway space.
You mean Bolt Field?
Yeah, both field, yeah.
Bolt Field is, it's not big enough for commercial airplanes, it's just private planes. And it will stay that way. It'll continue to be just an executive airport. Eventually, where the Bolt Field runway is where on the map there I show, eventually there's going to be 2 runways at the airport. The alignment for the second runway, the future runway, is where Bolt Field is where the Bolt Field runway is. So eventually Bolt Field will be demolished and it will be converted into a commercial. It'll be a very long runway. Right now it's not thick enough or wide enough or long enough for major airlines, but that's the alignment. So within the footprint that the state already owns, they can put 2 runways and the terminal. So there's plenty of space out there.
So we're going to have an east-west runway and north-south runway?
No, there'll be 2 east-west. So they're going to be parallel east-west. They don't need a crosswind out there. They don't build crosswinds anymore, really.
You mean Bolt Field's going to destroy that beautiful site?
Yes.
Well, it'll be there for 20, 25 years, as it is.
Wow.
But eventually, that will be the alignment for the second runway.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a
Any others?
beautiful facility.
Anyone? Okay.
Thank you very much for your time and the extended time.
No worries. Thank you. But verification, one more thing, just a second. Clarification rather, there is no LNAC.
LNAC, it didn't officially dissolve, it didn't disappear, but it hasn't met in years. It's not going to be the governing structure going forward. It was an attempt at one time, it didn't work. It's not going to work in the future. No sense going back to it.
You are the...
It's dead as a doornail. I'm the executive director, the unpaid executive director.
That's right.
And yeah, it's not the way to go. At one time, and thankful for you guys to be you were a charter member, and we do appreciate that. But I don't think that's going forward. It's going to have to be something different.
Thank
And
you.
that
Just one
that involved the
clarification.
north suburbs too, and
Right.
they're really not in it anymore. And so,
I just wanted that clear. Okay.
yeah, sure.
All right.
So, I have a
Next person. Can you...
For the overpass, we have a bottleneck here in University Park. We have a train overpass, so the per capita funding that they're talking about, we'll be able to actualize.
We have to call the order because this isn't, he just came make a presentation. Yeah, you can talk to him on the side if you mind.
Great.
Thank you, okay.
Thank you.
I want to give everyone ample time to speak today, if they can. Okay, Mildred Morgan.
I just have a few questions that I'd like to ask Village Manager Pate. We had a meeting, some parents and myself, in regards to young broadcasters. We're interested in our children having structure, and because they have nothing to do. There's no activities or anything for them to do. Summertime is approaching fast. And from our meeting, I've noticed for the last 2 months, there's been lots of work, renovation being done over there. Then I see that there's officials using it to have interviews and things of that nature. I'd like to know, how come our children can't use it? That's one question. Another question is, I'd like to know, who are the donors that's going to be doing the Village Hall? I read somewhere about Village Hall being taken over here to the health center, health building. Want to know who the donors are. Also, I hear that there's maybe approximately 300,000 coming from Clorox. Where is that money going to? And also, there's mold next door at the co-op. And we're so afraid that the mold being so close, we're being exposed to it. Can you please address those things?
You want to tell him? He said that it's up to you to address it or not.
I'll address it at the next meeting.
I'm giving the question to
And
Manager Page.
my official response is I'll address those questions at the next board meeting. Thank you.
Can you address any of them?
All your comments I will address at the next board meeting. Thank you.
Okay,
I'm Mary Trust.
thank you.
Mary Trust.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Last time I was up here, I stressed the importance of health and trying to rid us of some of this food desert that we have here and how important it is for us to have certain things. I would like, I'm requesting that the barn, the Regal Farm area for a community garden be restored, because these are some of the things that we have. If I was going to fix a salad, which I were trying to fix a salad, discovered I didn't have a tomato, had to send my husband all the way to Route 30. If you've done your groceries and shopping and you give out of these things, you've got to go way up to Route 30 for something like this. But within a half a block, I can buy all the things that would be bad for me. I can buy wine. Within a half a block, I can buy beer. All of these things at 4 areas within a half a block, and none of them is exceptionally good for my health. Now, I'm not trying to cut back anybody's drinking, because I love some of this coffee. That bottle is empty. I don't drink wine, but I'm like a rabbit with the lettuce, and the tomatoes, and the bananas for the cereal. I had my granddaughter over the weekend. So, if you're not getting it, I thought I'd do show and tell. My grandchildren do it and it works well. This is important. It may not be important to some of you, but it's important to me and some of the other tax-paying citizens in the community.
Thank you. Ms. Sonia Jenkins?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Board.
Good evening.
I wanted to just take the time and thank Ms. Billy for, and also Robin Walker, and also Mrs. Cynthia Hill. I had the pleasure of going to the middle school for their family night, game night. And while I was there, I noticed there was at least 90 children, and they were having the time of their lives. And they were concerned, there was some concerns, because Friday night was the last night. Now, my concern in dressing this board is, what are our children going to do this summer? All of the day camps in the area and the communities are full probably because they have them in place in January. I did my little homework and I found out that Harvey, which has their financial woes, as we all know, it's been on the news, they have a day camp. They can put their children there. I was raised with my mom. It was just me and my mom. My mom depended on these programs so she could keep a roof over my head as I grew. I am not asking you to do this, but the taxpayers are requiring you to make some programs for our youth. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Ms. Bell, you said that Harvey has a daycare. Let me, as you know, I was a patrolman in Harvey for over a decade, a detective as well, a ranking detective.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, well, everybody know it, you know it. But hearsay, Harvey has a park district and they taxing body pays for that.
Okay.
I think the situation that came about before the election of 3 trustees up here was that the financial state of the village. It was not this village manager that shut down the daycare, everything that was here. I will say that he has made the attempt, and he can answer on that, to have activities coordinator, which is indeed Ms. Keeley. I can say also that this board has taken money and allocated so that we can continue to have activities. Tonight I keep hearing that we don't have anything to do, but we have programs such as baseball. Whether you want to agree or not, football is also an activity that occurs indeed in July, as well as other programs. In fact, I just received the email that I'm sure the rest of these board members will be attending a basketball function that was sponsored here, at least by the village. Now, we don't have a facility like Harvey does.
Right.
Eric Kellogg don't control the day camp and everything over there. They have a different president. If the taxpayers indeed want to have a park district, they have to do a referendum. But I can assure you that this board, since 3 of us trustees came up here and sat here, that we have taken measures with the money that we do have. We don't have no $2 million deficit at the end of the year. That's false. We do have money that we have allocated and sat to the side. Go ahead.
Madam Mayor, I had a question.
Go ahead, please still talk.
Okay, oh, I'm sorry. The mayor wanted to make sure someone was approaching the Board of Trustees. So I just want you to know that indeed, yes, they do have a daycare, but they also have a taxing body that takes care of the daycare. But the Board of Trustees, this board has taken money to try to allocate the best way we can to make sure that programs are indeed in place for the children, as well as those programs that independent association, non-for-profit, has as well for University Park kids.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I had a question. Was it the day camp ended in 2017? Yeah, was the day camp ended in 2017?
Yes.
Wasn't it ended by Ms. Inya? Wasn't she hired in 2017?
Are you doing a trial?
So what's your point, trustee?
I'm just asking a few
What's your point, trustee? Because your point is that I'm wrong. Just say I'm wrong.
Not wrong, trustee.
Please. Not in court, you guys. Please. No one's on the witness stand. That type of language, please. Okay. I will address Ms. Sonia Jenkins. What we are doing, as you saw the sign out there, as far as development coming, we did one a lawsuit. We willed that facility, it used to be Cleo's, it's been fitted out. Mr. Payton knows, and one of our very trustee person, Mr. Robert Travis, has always volunteered in this village for many years, he and I both. And we will have a STEM program. I talked to an individual, matter of fact, she has a business in Park Forest. She will be bringing the STEM program here. They're going to have that area. Right now, we have the equipment that Mr. Donzel Williams has been using for kids to exercise in that facility. And they will be moving all that equipment to that facility. So they're going to remodel that, and the kids will be able to use that, and it'll have a weight area, it'll have a homeroom, it'll have homework, it'll have tutors, and have STEM and exercising. So we're looking forward to that to happen as soon as possible. We have the architects here tonight, as a matter of fact. They are doing the design. So it's a lot of things that maybe aren't getting out there the way it should, but it is happening. And we're trying to work with Governor State University, which I always asked that, but it wasn't getting done. A lot of things, we had the garden program that we worked with Governor State on that. So before that, when they did, before the cable station was shut down, and we were talking about that, they shut the cable station down and all the committees down. And that really did not enhance this village whatsoever. But when we did that, there was no young broadcasters for 6 years. And I complained about why aren't we having young broadcasters, because I was there in the 90s with Mr. Payton. But recently they had shut it down. Young broadcasters had not had a program in 6 years. So we were trying to get that back up. And I agree, we should have young broadcasters, and she is working on that. She's been working on that, I'm referring to Ms. Jenkins. She's been working on that with Governor State, because before they fired Eddie, Eddie had the program going with the school in Pre-Moni and with Governor State. I visited it. Ms. Yvette Brown ran that with our students. So these things were going on for a while until, again, as I say, they shut this cable station down and we lost that connection. But we will restore that in a timely fashion. And it was very expensive for us to even get this cable station back up, because a lot of our equipment was stolen. We don't know who, but they had keys and it was stolen. But now, in a volunteer in this village, Mr. Green, I will give that shout out to him. He personally took his funds and helped Ms. Jenkins get things together at our cable station. So, with that said, I hope that addressed some of the issues, and we are looking to do a lot of programs back, since we have back the committees that was shut down. The Human Service Special Events Committee will help. They have a lot of programs with kids as well. So we're hoping and looking for people like yourself to enhance that. So I
Excuse me.
Sorry.
I wondered, the question that I made was, what are the children to do now that the middle school is done with? What are they going to do for the rest of the summer? I mean, I understand
that's what I was talking about.
But the thing about this is, and I'm just asking a question on the board.
Okay, I'm sorry, we have 30 minutes.
Okay, all right.
But I'll address what I'll speak to you.
I'll
Okay.
wait. Okay,
All right, thank you. Okay, 30 minutes is up.
Yeah, we,
I mean, we use, we like the college one, use a few minutes. So,
we went 7 minutes over.
okay, you want 7 minutes up, okay. All right, at this time, the people that we have here left, we will either take your comments in writing or we'll address it at the next meeting. We want to stay on schedule and the importance of our agenda. Okay? Thank you very much. Okay. Action items, unfinished business. F1A, presentation on complete streets and green infrastructure by South Suburban Area Managers Association. Is she here tonight? She take on the table. Move the table. Okay. Moved by Trustee Wilson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by McMullen. Thank you. Roll call, please. Trustee Berger. This is the tie. Trustee Wilson. Aye. Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee McMullen.
Votes aye.
Trustee Page.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. New business, F2. F2A, first, second, and third reading on the ordinance of the Village of University Park, Will and Cook Counties, Illinois, authorizing the execution of a lease of commercial property by and between the Village of University Park, Will and Cook Counties, Illinois, and the ZEP TAPAC LLC 2 for Town Center Units 22 and 26. Is there a motion? Moved by Trustee Brooks, second. Second by Trustee Curtis. McMullen. Questions, comments, concerns? No one's here. Yeah, Mr. Tatum. Hello. Quickly.
Mr. Taylor was just up to answer any questions.
Any questions for
If
him?
not,
What this is the new vegan restaurant.
Yes.
That is coming, and we'll be using those facility areas. Does anybody have any questions on the board that we didn't discuss at the CAL?
No, just one comment. So you're gonna do the bill out, I saw the change in the credits. It amounts to about $14,000 over 3 years. Okay, all right, good.
Any others? Roll call, please. I'm sorry, question?
I
Yeah.
just want to ask you, are you going to cook good food?
Vegan? Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you like vegan.
Good to help. That blueberry.
Oh, yeah. Let me hand the last board. Yes. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. No questions. Roll call.
Trustee Williams. Both sides. Trustee Wilson. Aye. Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee McMullen.
Both sides.
Trustee Page.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
And Mayor Covington.
Both sides. Thank you very much.
That's ordinance O 2019-10.
Excuse me, I can't hear you. Over 20.
19-10.
Thank you. F2B, first, second, and third reading on the ordinance of the Village of University Park, Will and Cook Counties, Illinois, authorizing the execution of a lease of commercial property by and between the Village of University Park, Will and Cook Counties, with Gloria Taylor Foundation for Town Center Units 38 and 40. Is there a motion? So moved. Moved by Trustee Wilson. Second by Trustee McMullen. You just said.
Storage.
Great, thank you. Okay, roll call, please.
One
I'm sorry, question.
one
Sorry.
quick question.
Yes, sir.
Why is there no security deposit? At least I know it's temporary, kind of month to month, but why no security deposit?
The reason we didn't go with the security deposit just is the nature of just the storage and the amount of rent that's being used. And the user did bring in a $250 security deposit. I don't think it's just depicted on the lease, but security, a small security deposit was provided.
Okay.
Any others? Roll call, please. Sure.
Can we depict that since he paid it $250, so in the next year we won't forget about it when he's looking for his deposit back and it's not stated in the lease?
No problem.
Okay. Tickle Day, put on that, please. Thank you. Any others? Roll call, please.
Madam Mayor, point of order.
Yes, sir.
Should we do a motion to strike the
Okay,
triple
thank
zero,
you.
whatever section that is in the lease?
Yes, sir.
Trustee Payne
You're
is turning to it now.
Thank you.
Or amend, and amend that section to 250. I think it'd be strike.
Yes, sir.
It'd be paragraph 2 after the word deposit, strike 000 and replace it with the word, with the number 250.
$250 to be renewed and identified. Okay. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, could I get a second?
Second by Trustee Wilson. Okay. With the modifications in so stated. Clerk Jones, roll call.
Trustee Williams. Both sides. Trustee Wilson. Aye. Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee McMullen.
Both sides.
Trustee Page.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Both sides.
And Mayor Covington.
Both sides.
Okay, that motion passed.
Yes, till noon. Now, that was for the amendment. Now we're going to do the original motion to approve. Roll call.
Trustee Williams. Both sides. Trustee Wilson. Aye. Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee McMullen.
Both sides.
Trustee Page.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
And Mayor Covington.
Both sides.
Madam Mayor, that's ordinance O 2019-11.
Thank you very much. F2C, first, second, and third reading of ordinance of Village of University Park, Will and Cook Counties, Illinois, adopting a new corporate seal, finally. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Brooks. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee McMullen. Questions, comments?
Just making sure the color's gonna be yellow and blue, Madam Mayor.
Well, the printer, honestly, we finally, for the audience knowledge, we are finally adopting our own seal, University Park. Yes, that's 1967. That is called University Park. We did not have a seal in place, so I'm happy, and I want to applaud the village for doing that. Thank you very much. So we will identify that seal. So, okay, with that said, roll call.
Trustee Williams.
Both sides.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee McMullen.
Both sides.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
And Mayor Covington.
Votes aye.
Madam Mayor, that's ordinance 2019-12.
Thank you very much. F2D, first, second, and third reading, an ordinance of the Village of University Park, Will and Cook Counties establishing tax upon the use of privilege of renting a model motel or hotel room in the Village of University Park, Will and Cook Counties, Illinois, and providing penalties for the violation thereof. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Brooks, is there a second? Second by trustee McMullen. Questions, concerns, comments? This is for the future because we have a person that's interested that did a presentation to the board about building hotels on our route off of I-57. So, because for the person that came and made the presentation to us about the hotels they're concerned about building, we're putting this in place in advance. We're thinking ahead. So when the hotels come there, we wouldn't have to address this. The ordinance as far as the taxes and the penalties is already in place.
Madam Mayor, I just had a comment. I noticed that the change I had made about Airbnb and the use and occupancy tax was not in it, was part of the changes. However, when you register with Airbnb, they put as part of their calculation a use and occupancy tax. And so when you go through their registration process, they will do that for you. So it would not be an unnecessary burden on those who would decide to use that online service to rent out rooms in the houses if that's going on in University Park. So that change did not make it into the ordinance. However, it is handled through the Airbnb online system. So it shouldn't be a burden to anyone.
Yes, Attorney?
Trustee Brown, so at this juncture, the definition of motel room or hotel room was changed.
It was.
In relation to your suggestion. If that's no longer necessary, what I would recommend is under section 897-01, paragraph A, that the last sentence be stricken, which states a property or spare room not offered for rent on a daily basis, but offered for rent via an online marketplace from time to time shall not be deemed a motel room or hotel room under this chapter. I would, if you no longer are seeking to have that in the ordinance, a motion to amend would be necessary to strike that from that.
Yeah, so moved. I would like to make a motion to strike the portion just read by the council in regards to online marketing through Airbnb because it is handled through the Airbnb online system. They deal with the use and occupancy tax for the municipality.
Okay, thank you. That was Yes, ma'am.
I was not able to hear Attorney Wise's comments.
Okay,
So,
you know what?
so that,
It would,
You know what, why don't we
it would, well, it's the last, it's the
Yeah, so
last
I'd like to
sentence.
make a motion to strike the last sentence, starting with a property to period.
What
That
section
ends
was
this
that?
chapter.
She didn't know
In
the section. She didn't hear the
section
section.
897-01, paragraph 8.
Starting with the third to the last sentence.
Third to the last sentence. Third to the last sentence, Attorney. And clerk.
Because of the hearing, Airbnb or whatever.
Yeah, because this was what he had asked for originally.
Okay.
Trustee,
But it's covered by
It's covered, when you register, if you register a property with Airbnb, they will check the ordinance for your city that you're in, and if there's a use and occupancy tax as part of their service, they will collect a use and occupancy tax for you as part of the overall charge.
So then what you had asked to put in, it wouldn't be no.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be necessary, we'd be declining money that's taken care of through their automated system.
Okay, gotcha.
okay, you get that, Clerk and Jim?
I really, that's why I asked if he would write it.
Okay.
Write the motion, please.
Okay, we can subscribe it.
Madam Mayor, sure, a long time.
One, that's what
Wilson. I apologize for not being in the committee to hold the discussion, but I do have some questions. On section 897-03 is talking about liability for payment. Section B.
Okay.
It's saying it should be the duty of the owner of every motel or hotel. So it's looking to me that if I could get a brief summary, a homeowner can offer a room in their house for day to day, and we're calling that person, that homeowner, it will be called the owner of a hotel or motel. Is that correct?
That'd be a question for the attorney for interpretation.
The definition of motel or hotel room is set forth in paragraph A. It's a room that's offered for rent on a daily basis. And it could be multiple rooms, like a hotel or motel. What Trustee Brown was indicating, and he was discussing, was in the situation of an Airbnb where at times people, I guess, put their property. An Airbnb is a company, so not all, and I'm sure there's other online marketplaces that allow for this, not just Airbnb.
Yeah, when we travel.
Where people go on vacation, rent out their house from time to time, or rent a room. That would be covered. If that amendment's approved, then that would be covered under this. The tax to be collected, it's to be paid by the person renting the room, but it's to be collected obviously by the owner or the proprietor, and then they would tender that to the village.
Okay, so that's correct. We're calling a homeowner the owner of a motel or hotel if they rent out one room on a day-by-day basis. If they do a couple of rooms in a bathroom or a portion of their home, then they can do it under Airbnb and it'll be separate. Is that what I'm getting?
No, if you look at a Airbnb, you can rent up to a single room or up to a whole house.
Right.
So but Airbnb, when you register your house or room, or whatever it is you're renting through the Airbnb system, they check with the municipality as part of their online process, and they will collect the use and occupancy tax for you, so they'll figure that into the price.
I get that, because I use Airbnb. So my point I'm getting to is that if it's a daily basis, if somebody's renting a room on a day-by-day basis, how will the village know to collect that tax, number one? It could be used for things other than vacation or business purposes. And it looks like here we're trusting a homeowner that we're calling the owner of a motel or hotel to secure the said tax from whoever's using that room for the day. I hate I missed the presentation because I don't know the background. But just looking at this and missing the presentation, it looks like anybody can rent a room, and only if the village finds out about it, then they'll be paying tax.
It's renting of a room on a daily basis, not necessarily day to day. You rent it one day, but not necessarily the next day. It's a daily basis, like a hotel. It's a daily basis. You know, you go there every day of the year. You rent a room. Not you rent. You may rent out a room today, and then a week later you rent out the room. As to collection and enforcement, that's a separate issue. We'd have to look, first of all, if you're renting out properties, what the zoning would be, and implications are, and whether or not you have a business license for that.
This is something new that we're trying to adopt.
So I'd like to move that we make this first and second reading instead of first, second, and third reading.
No problem. Is there a second?
Because I have a lot of other questions. I could go on if we don't want to, if we don't do a second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please, to amend this. First, second reading. First and second. Yes, first and second on amended. First and second. Only first and second reading only. And we won't do third. Okay. Then she can get her questions. Okay, roll call.
Trustee Williams.
Both sides.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee McCollum.
Both sides.
Trustee Page.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
Mayor Cutter.
Both sides. No, no worries. Okay,
The first amendment.
First and second.
No, we just,
To make it the first and second.
Okay, all right.
so that, we do have the amendment, the first amendment that trustee Brown made. And what was the second one? We didn't get a second.
That was trustee Wilson, Madam Clerk.
Brown second. She asked no question.
For the record,
Oh, yeah.
Madam Mayor,
Yeah.
Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
for the record, I'd like to read the motion.
Sure, excuse me, can we, excuse me, can we, have one conversation with board meeting, please? Thank you.
Okay, the motion that trustee Brown made was to strike from section 89701, beginning 4 lines after the word sleeping, strike a property through the word chapter and before the beginning of 6.
That's B.
Oh, B, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Now, we got a motion and a second.
Yes,
So, roll call.
roll call.
Trustee Williams.
Both sides.
Trustee Wilson. No, this is trustee Brown.
Okay. I did. I made a motion to table the first and second readings. I didn't agree.
No, we passed. I'm sorry.
I think, no, I think it should be left in there. I really do.
Okay, but
So no.
No, his motion, she just said no.
The line right on his motion to strike that line, I think that should stay in and make it clear that if it's a week, it's Airbnb, and then if it's not.
So no first.
Trustee, if we were to leave that in there, then it would exclude that property. Am I correct? Would I be correct in that? So that is an exclusion. But you want to, if somebody's renting a room out through Airbnb, I mean, that's like a, a vacation, or you rent it for, it's like a hotel room that you rent on a daily basis, but you want to collect this use and occupancy tax for.
I thought you just said that the Airbnb collects, they look at the village's
Yeah,
ordinance.
but if we include that, then they would look at that language in the statute and not collect it, because they say, oh, it's not included.
So it should stay in there, so they know it's not included.
No, we want it to be included because we want to get the use and occupancy tax.
right.
Everybody.
He's saying include. He's not saying that, he's not saying that it's exclude. He's saying keep it in there.
He said strike this.
Except the sentence.
No, I'm not lost. So it would change because the whole premise of this is from a day to day and not based on a week. So is it, it should
Point
be
of
something?
order, Mayor. Aren't we calling the roll on this? Have we passed the discussion?
No.
We're amending this to the first and second reading.
Okay.
There's ample time in the third reading to further
Right,
discuss
third
this.
reading, right. Okay,
Am I voting?
okay. Continue.
Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee McCollum.
Both sides.
Trustee Page.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
And Mayor Cutter.
Aye. Okay, and we will further discuss it, Trustee Wilson, in the third reading. We can make modifications then. Okay. F2E, first, second, and third reading an ordinance of the Village of University Park, Will, Cook County, Illinois, establishing responsible bidding guidelines. Is there a motion?
So
Madam Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
we did not take the roll call on the main motion as amended.
That's right, I'm sorry, that's a discussion. Okay, a roll call, please.
Trustee, this is amended to first and second.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Both sides.
Trustee Wilson. Aye. Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee McMullen.
Both sides.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
And Mayor Collins.
Aye. Okay, F2E, first, second, and third readings of an ordinance of Village of University Park, Will and Cook Counties, Illinois, establishing responsible bidder guidelines. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Wilson, second.
Second.
Second by trustee Brooks. Is there any questions?
Yeah,
Yes,
Mayor,
sir.
on page 3, paragraph 10,
Okay,
it reads, for such contract award in the amount of $150,000 bidder and all bidder subcontractors must submit proof of participation or active participation in an apprenticeship or training programs approved by and registered with the United States Department of Labor's Bureau of Apprenticeship and Training by bidder for work. I'm just opposed to using the word all where it says all subcontractors bidders.
okay.
Bidders for the subcontractors. So I'd like to make a motion to strike the word all.
Okay, and that's on page 3.
Right, page 3, paragraph 10.
Yes,
A.
okay.
Yeah, right.
Just a second. All bidders, okay, gotcha.
Paragraph 10.
Yes, paragraph 10, on page 3.
That will be recognized.
Sure.
Just
Trustee Payne, would that cover when you spoke about minorities also getting a contract with the village?
Well, they modified B. I just think it's over restrictive. Again, when you're looking at small contractors, that if they just have, a signal person or whatever, does that mean they have to have gone through an apprenticeship training programs?
No.
To qualify?
No.
So,
No.
I know it can be overridden by paragraph B, which
Right.
we changed, but I just, to say all bidders,
Okay.
to me, that just, that's a little bit much.
Okay, thank you for that, and we did strike it. Their motion to strike,
second.
okay. Roll call, please.
Trustee Williams.
Both sides.
So, I'm sorry, any more questions? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So if it's not all bidders, how will we differentiate which bidders? Then it's subject to pick and choose which bidders have to submit proof.
Well, I think that's the part when it comes in with the smaller bidders, they come in with sealed bill,
If it's smaller than 150, then this doesn't apply. But if it's greater than 150, and we strike out all bidders, where will the different?
This refers to all bidders, subcontractors.
Right, that's different, or the contractors.
So then some bidders, subcontractors would have to submit proof? If we scratch out all bidder subcontractors must submit proof?
Exactly. So rather than saying everybody's got to do it, we have the discretion.
We're saying some bidders.
Exactly.
But that's what
He was trying to say like with minorities, he was trying to make the guys, Milton was trying to get away when they were minorities will have the opportunity.
if that's what it's for, then we should say minorities, but not. When you just say, okay, for such contract award in an amount greater than 150,000, the bidder and all bidder subcontractors must submit proof of participation. If we scratch out all bidder subcontractors, then it's.
No, that's not what I said. I said the word all,
Then it's-
only.
Right. But then you just, whichever ones you say need proof.
Exactly.
Well, okay, maybe I missed the conversation but that doesn't seem fair, when you can pick and choose which subcontractor.
Well, this,
No, they come in and seal bid anyway.
Right.
I'm sorry, you want to talk, Trustee?
yeah, well, again, part of the conversation was that in order to be more inclusive for minority contractors or small contractors that are trying to grow their business, if they bring somebody on for the summer and they just want to be have them to signal something or do some minor things, because a job, 150,000 is not much in a lot of cases, as we will see here shortly. okay? So I'm wanted to be as flexible as we can possibly make it to make certain that we don't, because of this, just simply exclude minority contractors, women, Hispanics, black folk, you know? So I'm just looking for maximum flexibility for the village so you don't get called on it.
Yeah, such as our small bidder we have for grass. That's a small company, for example, and they will be able to come in and bid. But if this all
And they don't have to submit proof of participation for apprenticeship or
okay,
training
right,
program.
because they're a smaller company, and I like the
Okay,
detail.
I
You
get it.
understand? Okay. Okay, great. Okay, roll call.
Trustee Williams.
Both sides.
Trustee Wilson.
And this roll call is for to remove all,
Yes,
Yes.
strike all.
vote no.
Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee McMullen.
Both sides.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Brown. I'm sorry.
Just say aye. Okay, aye.
And Mayor Covington.
Vote aye.
That don't make no sense.
You have to do the whole.
Okay.
That was the remove all.
Okay, now the main motion, roll call.
Trustee Williams.
Both sides.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee McMullen.
Both sides.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
And Mayor Covington.
Vote aye.
Madam Mayor, that's ordinance 2019-13.
Thank you. F2F, a resolution of the Village of University Park, Cook Counties, Illinois, authorizing the execution of an agreement by and between Zurich Construction Company and the Village of University Park for the remodeling of the new municipal offices. Is there a motion? So moved by Trustee McMullen, second.
Second.
Second by Trustee Milton Payton. Any questions, concerns, comments? We have JM Architects right here. Anyone has any questions?
This is just a resolution, right?
Yes, sir.
This is not a-
To go forward with the architectural drawings.
They didn't come to the meeting of the whole, correct?
No.
Yes, on it down there.
So the next two agenda items, basically we had a sealed bid opening last week for the construction of the new village hall. This was supervised by the architect. They issued the posting. They were at the village during the sealed bid openings, and they actually provided recommendation of what company to use. Just to dispel rumors, there were statements made that the village was picking contractors and various different things like that. None of that occurred. The bids were unsealed by the village clerk. I was present of the unsealing of the bids, as well as the interim director of public works and a representative from the architect. Those bids were taken to the architect's office, and the architect recommended the best and most responsible bidder for the project. So the board had nothing to do with the selection of any contractor for this project. That's why the architect is here to explain his recommendation letter that he wrote, and any questions the board may have.
Yeah, I agree, because I didn't know the manager, but that's why I asked that question, because if Theo don't know, I didn't know. Yeah,
Great.
Trust me, it was.
And we've always had it before. Yes.
Oh, okay.
All right. No other questions? Thank you for being here. Okay. F2F. I'm sorry, I'm roll call. Sorry, roll call.
Trustee Williams.
Both sides.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee McMullen.
Both sides.
Trustee Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
And Mayor Covington.
Full time.
Madam Mayor, that's resolution R 2019-07.
07.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. F2G, a resolution of the Village of University Park, Cook Counties, Illinois, authorizing the execution of an agreement by and between Larson Equipment and Furniture Company and the Village of University Park for furniture at the new municipal facilities, offices. Is there a motion?
So move.
Moved by Trustee Milton Payton, second by Trustee McMullen. Questions, concerns, comments? I have none. This is barely a resolution on, basically. I'd like to see, we need, the board as a whole need to see some of the items and the cost.
Madam Mayor, that was requested when we had a committee a whole month ago, and the plans and all the items were placed in the board's mailbox by the executive liaison. I don't have a problem giving the furniture list. That's not something I would have in front of me right now, but again, this is another situation where the architect can kind of speak up on the furniture list and what was going in each office, but that detail was provided to be put in your guys' mailbox.
Yeah, but it was just that we didn't get intense with it. I think we need to have a workshop on that. But the resolution is there, but we'll talk to him. They like it home. Okay. Trustee Wilson?
I'm looking at the bid packet for the furniture, and it's 3 companies listed, and does this mean 2 of them just didn't respond?
That is correct.
So will we send it to more people since 2 didn't respond? Or is this all we sent it to, is just 3 instead of?
3 showed interest, only 1 submitted bid.
I can't hear you, sir.
3 companies showed interest in bidding the furniture package, but only 1 company followed through.
Was there any reason? Just they didn't?
Construction companies don't care too much for bidding furniture because the profit margins just aren't there.
Okay, so at that point, do we go further to see if we can get a better deal?
I don't think you're going to find a better deal.
Well, can we try anyway? I mean, I understand that, but can we go further? Okay, I'd like us to seek a little further.
Madam Mayor, this is the second time this has been put out to bid. The first time it was put out to bid, there were technical issues and there were not a sufficient number of bids. So we did not open up the sealed bids at that time, and we put this out again, a second time, and had the architects solicit more vendors for this project. So we did do due diligence. This is the second time that it was put out. We got more bites on construction because, that's the big thing. There's not a lot of furniture people out there. I would tell the board, I would say this, the board not passing anything on furniture is not going to stop the project. It's just when the building is done, it's not going to be furnished. So, I mean, if it's the board's prerogative, I can go to the architect and ask, but as he stated, you're probably not going to get any more solicitation in regards to furniture other than what we received.
Well, you did do 5, sorry, you did do 5, didn't you? I saw something in 5, 5 people. You went out twice.
I know we've been out twice already.
Okay, how many?
And we've only received this one bid back.
Trustee Brown?
Did you try, I don't know, a furniture store?
So let's do 2 sides of the coin. We could go out and go to furniture companies, and then that violates the whole sealed bid process and the purpose of the sanctity of the process. So that's why we didn't go that route. I would advise the board not to go that route and follow the sealed bid process and not waive the sealed bid process and move forward with what we have now.
I know before that when we just brought in prices, we go to 3 places and you price out the furniture.
That's the dollar amount. The dollar amount we're talking about and where the funds are coming from, I just don't advise doing that.
A lot of this furniture also has to be assembled.
What?
The furniture has to be assembled.
Oh. I agree. Trustee Brown.
All right. Any other questions, concerns, comments? Any other? Hearing none, roll call.
Trustee Williams.
Both sides.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee McMullen.
Both sides.
Trustee Page.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
And Mayor Cutter.
Aye.
Madam Mayor, that's resolution R 2019-08.
Thank you very much. F2H, resolution authorizing execution of a letter of engagement by and between the Village of University Park, Will, and Cook Counties, Illinois, and John Capacity Company for accounting services. Would you come up just in case there's questions? Roll call. I'm sorry. Excuse me, yes, I'm sorry, motion. Their motion.
Maybe they could talk. So moved.
Moved by trustee Milton Payton, second.
Second.
Second by trustee,
And I have a question.
second. By trustee Brooks, did you get that, Madam? Okay, question.
Yes, yeah, how long is this engagement for?
This engagement is only for 2 fiscal years. So fiscal year 18 and fiscal year 19.
Madam Mayor, then I'd like to make a motion to table this until the 4th Tuesday in May.
I wouldn't advise of that.
You know, I mean, not to get political or anything at this time of season, but there's an election coming up and we don't want to put ourselves in a situation where a contract could be voided, especially right before, or I think it was about a week away from now, right before an election. So I think we ought to just wait until after, or until your term is secured.
Oh my God, yes, please.
The contract's not for a specific term. It's not for 6 months. It's not for a year. It's not even for 1 month. The contract is for specific work, and that work is to do the year-end reconciliations and balance sheet reconciliation and adjustments for year-end reporting for fiscal year ending April 30th of 2018 and the fiscal year ending April 30th of 2019, this fiscal year. So it's not a year contract or anything, it's to get that work.
Yeah, Madam Mayor.
Yes, trustee Milton.
Yeah, I think we need to move forward with this because, you know, we've been trying to get our finances in order. This is the last piece to complete that so we get some accurate numbers.
Right.
I know the finance committee's been asking for it, and you know, the problem is we don't have our accounting properly done, and we need to get this done as soon as possible.
Exactly. Yes. Any other questions, concerns, comments? Yes, you have that, okay? Please.
You know, I really do, want this accounting services to actually be here. I did speak, with them, and thank you, Mayor, for letting me inside your office and speaking with the accounting service. So I really do want them here, but I just wanted to bring to you guys' attention because I wasn't thinking, inside your office. But the village right now is in a true base accounting system right now. And, that means that the expense or the revenue is recognized at the time that it's posted to the general ledger. So when this company here is actually looking for the village employees to give them a chart of accounts that actually shows, what is being debited and what's being credited. So the accounting has to be done, and I'm not saying that, because this team here is a very good team, I'm pretty sure, but the accounting is actually being done by the village for that particular thing with the village's general ledger. Okay, so but that chart of accounts is needed by them in order for them to actually complete, the village's general ledger. So what I'm saying is that right now for that particular thing is that they for that general ledger they're going to be actually just doing data entry. I'm sorry, just data entry. This information, is that correct? Is that what you would be doing? And I know bank reconciliations as well too, for the different fund accounts. You guys are going to be taking care of that as well. But you guys are going to be looking for a chart of accounts in order to, complete the general, what is that called? the general ledger. Is that correct?
Correct. I'm assuming that the chart of accounts is, we had that discussion.
Correct.
We have, in our meeting, I was made aware that we do have a chart of accounts. What our service is going to entail, which is on the last page, we break down the days. We're going to be looking at all of the bank accounts and making sure that all of the activity in the bank accounts is properly posted to the books, which the general ledger is part of those books. When we get all of the activity of the bank statements done, we're going to be doing them by fiscal year. So we'll first do the fiscal year 18.
Right.
After we complete that part of the contract also includes, as you indicated, the accrual basis of accounting. So what we will be doing at that point is we'll be looking at revenue that came in after the fiscal year ended, but was earned in the prior year. So we have to make the accounting adjustments for that. And the same for the expenses. So expenses that were paid after year end for product that was either received or services that were rendered prior to year end, we have to accrue those back. Now that'll be a little bit easier in a sense because we're already a year, well, more than a year past, so we'll be able to trace those transactions out, put them on the books, and then at that point, that's when your auditors will step in and audit those books because the books don't have all the entries recorded currently.
And that's great. That's great. But what I wanted to make the board aware is that when they leave and they finish with what they're doing, then because that's $50,000 for the first those fiscal year 1 and fiscal year 2.
Yes.
Okay, that's 50,000. But when they leave, then and I just mentioned that we in an accrual-based accounting system. Okay, that someone is going to have to come in and actually.
We're aware of that.
You are aware of that,
Yes,
right?
of course.
So that will be another service. I mean, I'm pretty sure
I'll let him
that
answer that for you, okay? The village manager. So.
Yeah, Mayor.
it will be another fee,
Yes, sir.
another
No.
service
Right.
that's being charged to the
Mayor, I just again want
Of
to
course, you have to
reiterate.
have accountants, so you have to pay for accountants.
Yeah.
I
just want you to be aware.
Yeah.
I want you to be aware.
Yeah, we're very much aware. We
Yes.
have to have accountants,
Okay.
so keep our monies right. Okay, he's gonna answer the question now.
Right, no, I just want to make a comment. I made it in a prior meeting that over about a 3 or 4 year period, we spent almost $1.5 million for our county in-house here, and it was a complete mess.
That's right.
This is an absolute steal what we're getting here for this amount of money to get and maintain our records as they should be maintained. This is an absolute bargain, and we need to go ahead and move forward with this.
Yes, this will be up, correct, then we'll have our audits up to 20, would you tell them?
Yeah, so to address the treasurer's question, when we were in a meeting, we did have a member of the finance department that did state there is a chart of accounts that are available, so that question was asked and answered at the meeting that you attended. These concerns you're bringing up now were never brought up at that meeting that the mayor openly invited you to, so I'm a little baffled by that, but it's okay. As far as this engagement, FY 18-19 will be done by this accounting firm. It is the goal to continue to engage with this accounting firm if they do the job in the way that the board and myself and whoever is at the helm feels is satisfactory, then that these engagements continue to get extended. I will tell you the main reason of the short part or the short engagement, no later than 60 days, was a concern that Trustee Wilson brought up with the initial group that came before the board about a month ago. So in using her input, we said we wanted to do smaller chunks when we do letters of engagement to not be sunk in a hole with a company that we necessarily might not want to deal with going on in the future. I have my full confidence in this organization to do this job. They work in many municipalities in the south suburbs, and in the school districts and townships, some that are in similar financial straits that we are. And I don't see any concern that the treasurer brought up to affect this engagement and moving the village forward. Once they're done, we'll be able to move forward with the 18 and 19 audits. 17 and 18 is at a pending stage, it's at a draft stage. Once they're done with 18 and 19, we will be able to move forward 18 and 19. And FY19, for everybody's information, expires April 30th. So we're currently in FY19 right now, so this will bring us literally current and up to date.
Yes.
And they can get all the reports that Trustee Wilson wants when she asks for them.
Pledge of pay, don't mean to delay. Could you please say that here one more time? Because I'm tired of hearing false information of the years that we haven't done audits. Please say those years again.
So,
yes.
Current audits, FY 16 and 17 are in a draft state. We're making minor changes to those, and those will be prepared for the board for approval next month. They will be doing 18 and 19, and once those are being done, the auditor is literally coming right behind them as they're doing reconciliations, as they're doing their work. Once they finish 18, the 18 audit will be started, they'll be on 19, and we'll be moving forward. So hopefully we'll be up to date with all our financials by midsummer.
Thank you. Thank you. And we worked hard to get that done, seeing that when I took office, we hadn't had an audit since 2008. Now we are going to be current with our finances. And then we will have a meeting with the residents of University Park to let them know just where we're at. And at that point in time, we will know where we're at and what we can do and what we can do with. And like I said, we've already input the capital bill, $42 million of a request. So, and we also just been blessed with the $3 million grant, federal grant for our metro station. So that's not even a part of the capital grant. So I'm really happy, and I will say this, with this board has been magnificent, what they've accomplished in 2 years, according to when we were shut down 4 years ago. And take ownership, people. 4 years ago we were shut down. Now we're here and we're doing well. I want to give some sample lists for the audience and for next door. Sample client list, these people are from, these are some of the people, they are clients to American Legion, Post 330, Calumet City, 911 Board, Calumet City Firefighters and Pension, Calumet City Public Library, Calumet Memorial Park District, Calumet Township, Calumet Township School Treasurer, CEDA, CEDA, everyone knows the government agency, City of Blue Island Police Pension, City of Blue Island Fire Pension, City of Calumet City, Prairie State College Foundation, South Village School District 130, 149, 152, 154, 155, 6, 7, 8, and 215. South Suburban Chief of Police, South Suburban Major Minor Crimes Force, South Suburban College Foundation, Thornwood, which is the largest thornship in the state of Illinois, I think actually in the world, Thornship Fractional Township, School Treasurer, Thornship Township School Treasurer, Village of Dalton, Village of Lombard, Village of Riverdale, and more clients available on the request. And I'm happy, and I had an interview with you, and we talked about it, we verified everything, and we're pleased, and we know we're going to move forward. Thank you very much. Any other questions, concerns, comments?
Mayor, I got one more.
We want to cut it up.
Because I just want them to actually address this here to you, because you guys got to understand that.
Address what now?
Hold on a minute. The services, the additional services.
Okay.
That they will be, that we will need.
Well, we did ask that, just for the record. I don't know if you remember that when we were in the room. I asked if there be any additional. They said, no, this is a flat rate, no other additional. And I said, wait, just let me finish that.
Okay.
I said, this is not for debate either. We want to be civil and knowledgeable of everyone's time. But we said that there will be nothing additional. If there was, it's too bad. We said a solid $25,000. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. So there's no surprises.
Roll call.
Because in the contract it said it shall not exceed $25,000. So there will be no surprises.
I do understand.
Okay,
I
so.
do understand.
Okay.
And I do want this company to actually come in and actually take care of our county.
Well, that's what we're saying. It's an agreement.
But for an audit, for 2018-19 audit,
okay,
we are going to need other services.
Oh, well, we understand.
And you guys understand that,
Yes, we do. Thank you so much. Okay, roll call.
Madam Mayor, before we proceed with that,
I'm sorry.
there was a motion to table
Milton
this.
Page again.
No, Trustee Brown made a motion to table this until after the election.
Oh, wow, right.
Actually, Matt, after listening to the, was it seconded?
No.
In that case, I withdraw after listening to council's explanation that it was for a specific job rather than for a term.
Right.
You know, it might extend over term. I think that kind of stretches the line a little bit.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. So based on that withdrawal, we will do roll call.
Trustee Williams.
On resolution.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee McMillan.
Both sides.
Trustee Bailey.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
And Mayor Covington.
Aye. And thank
Madam
you, Treasurer.
Mayor, that's resolution 2019-09.
Thank you, Treasurer, for your comments and your concerns. We appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay?
Madam President, Board, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We look forward. I also brought one of my staff. I'm John Despair. Brought one of my staff, Lauren, who will be out working, and we had discussions. Lauren is very good with software, accounting software, much more than me. So we already had these conversations regarding the software. So we'll see what it looks like when we get in, but we went into a lot of depth when we had our original meeting. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
Yes, and he did. You're a good employee. We talked about you greatly. We talked about the software, and for the record too, they did say whatever software we have, they will work with it. So no surprises saying they're going to bring in newer software. Okay? Thank you very much. F2I, motion to approve and appoint Ms. Deborah J. Strauss to the Economic Development Committee. Is there a motion? Moved by Trustee Wilson. Is there a second?
Second to my committee.
Second to Trustee Brooks.
Committee.
Committee. Yes, it's committee. Your questions, concerns, comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Madam Mayor, just to be sure, looking at the, right, I did make it a 2-year full term.
Okay.
Based on the fact that the others were the 3-year members.
Thank you. Roll call.
Trustee Williams. Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee McMullen.
Both sides.
Trustee Bailey.
Aye.
Trustee Brown.
Aye.
And Mayor Covington.
Aye, and congratulations, Ms. Strauss. We're happy now that we can have our economic development committee, and this is another one that they shut down, so we get this back. Thank you so much. Look for your participation. Okay, F2J, bills payable. Just a second. Attached for your approval is a listing of the general operating expenses for the Village of University Park that occurred on February 26, 2019 through March 26, 2019. General funds, $330,883.78. Road and Bridge funds, $9,456.14. Town Center fund, $7,512.99. Motor fuel tax fund, $15,674.30. Payroll fund, $4,294.29, totaling $367,821.50. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Brooks, second by Trustee McMullen. Please, comments?
Madam Mayor, may I go first?
Yes, sir.
Manager Pate, I think I asked this question before, but every time I see it, Diamond, the company.
Attorney Diamond?
Yeah. How long we gotta go with this?
Yeah.
Because I just want them out of my hair. What little I
Still
got
got a
now.
little bit longer.
Oh boy.
Attorney Diamond was, as everybody knows, was a previous village attorney many years ago. I think before even the mayor's time.
Yes.
No, you can't.
No. It was brought with them. It was, let me correct that for the record and next door. It was brought here by the legislative committee, which I was not a part of. They fired the current attorney that I had, and they brought this one on, Mr. Rudez and the rest of the crowd that was here, and it was $1 million.
Yeah.
They brought an attorney here, it's $1 million for the record. So we are stuck with this now, and we have to pay this guy.
Is it any way? I want to say if we can get, if we can just get a number.
Trustee, I have no problem. I can do it.
Yeah.
We have we recently exchanged emails with the law firm about last month, I think Clerk D. So what I can do is I can forward you guys the email that was sent with the remaining balance so you can see what's remaining.
Yeah.
And that's the same for Opus and the Sturt as well.
Oh, we owe them too?
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh my God.
So
And that's the other part of it.
That's the one after that.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I have no problem forwarding that to the board.
But we pay ours, right? Ours been paid. John, you okay?
It's not $1 million, thank God. Okay, any others?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Checks 103, 393, and 394, they're for safety dispatch. Do you know what months are there for? Are we current with them now?
Yes.
No, we're not current. So this should bring us January, February.
Yes.
And then the next bills payable should be March and April to bring us up to speed.
Yeah, because when I go to the meetings of Little Mirrors and I want, they always tell us, University Park.
We're not the only ones.
I know that, because it's hard everywhere, and they all understand that, so they say they're workable with us, but it's kind of, I can at least tell them they got a check coming next meeting I go to.
That's correct.
Okay. Sure. Thank you. I'll bring something up after. I'll bring on the sidebar. I won't put that up. Yes.
Are we done with paying for salt? Is this enough salt to last?
No, this is actually, no, we're done with salt. So this is actually a last billing of salt. And actually, I spoke to the salt provider yesterday. We're actually receiving one more billing for salt at the end of this month. They bill behind. They back bill. So
Board, I'm looking at check number 103440. This is back bill, so when is this bill from?
this is probably from December, January timeframe, and then we had those ice storms that we had to order additional salt that we was not expecting to purchase. But all this is being paid out of MFT, not general fund.
Thank you.
This is all placed in the MFT budget. So it's being paid out of motor fuel tax.
Can I, just a question, if it's a common sense question. Because Trustee Wilson went over to Public Works, and I have been over there. Actually, I took a visit, see how Darrell was doing. But if we build a bigger salt house, would that save us money on the back end of times like this where we kicking out 15? Because I think we can only hold 300 tons, but say if we built something to hold 600 to 1,000 tons.
So what you can do is you can. It doesn't matter. Go ahead, Director.
Absolutely. What it would do, Trustee, it would, right now, the way the condition of our shed, we can only house just a little bit, maybe 200,000, with the proper salt shed, that would hold, what I think we should have would hold about 1,000 tons. It would, in regular weather conditions, but the conditions we had this year weren't regular. So it wouldn't have made a difference either way, because as you can see throughout the south suburbs, everybody was going through a lot of salt this year. So it wouldn't have, really wouldn't have made a difference either way with the conditions we had this year.
Okay, I just wanted the point to be made because for any of the general public who's wondering what Trustee Brooks is thinking, and I'm sure the mayor and Trustee Wilson, is that we had started off, manager had paid ahead of time, but it got to the point where, and I have to take my hat off to Darrell and his crew. They kept the roads well salted. We got to patch them up now, but he made sure that there were no accidents, and actually this was the safest village to drive. So I thank you too for making sure that happened. And in the future, because I see my public, Mr. Covington, that is a thing that we're talking about, is see if we can get a bigger salt house built. So that's it, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And I know there was something that we talked to IDOT, because they're a big contributor to SALT for us. And we did write something, an appropriation and then a plead to even get more. So we'll see how that works this year too with another governor's office as far as the SALT and how it works with IDOT. Okay. Roll call. Any others? I'm sorry. Any other questions, concerns, comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Trustee Williams.
Both sides.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Trustee McMillan.
Both sides pay the bill.
Trustee Payton.
Both sides pay the fee.
All righty now.
Mayor Covington.
Both sides. At this time, I'll have mayor's report and presentation. Mr. Adam. Amen.
Good evening. You all hear me?
Speak in the middle.
Okay, good. You hear me now?
Yes.
Good. Good evening, Madam Mayor and the board. My name is Eamon Dickerson. I'm in the financial group. This is my partner Don Meadows. And we've been in conversation with the mayor about municipalities, the vacant property that's in the municipality, the homes that have been abandoned and so forth.
I'm sorry.
Can't hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
That'll work.
Is better?
Yeah.
All right. So what I was saying is that we've been in communication with the mayor about the abandoned homes that's in the village, the homes that have been dilapidated and so forth, the homes that are not on the currently on the tax rolls in the village, and working with our program that actually, at no cost to the village, but actually brings these properties back to the tax roll. Basically by means of, through the laws of the home rules that actually University Park does adopt, which allows it to basically control the properties that have been left and that are not currently active in the tax rolls. I'm gonna let Don actually speak to some points of what home rules does and what it allows the community to do, and also what we can do as well.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Don.
Hey, Don, hear me? We good?
Right.
Okay. My name is Don Meadows. I've been working in community development for the past 25 years. And part of the initiative from the faith-based initiative with George Bush Sr. to working with the CDC programs across the country. I was the operations director at NACA and at Bank of America to do CRA lending in the community. And I even helped sue a few banks for their CRA violations around the country. So I'm used to working around communities and making sure that they have homes, because homes mean money. And they use the word blight, and blight means without life. And I don't like the terminology. So what we try to do is bring life back into a community by creating home ownership, doing financial literacy and education. And what home rule allows the village to do is acquire the properties, verify that whether they're blighted, vacant, back taxes, and it helps the village collect the tax roll. I mean, I think we've lost $176,000 last quarter just on the absence of taxes. So home rule allows us to come in and take the properties, rehab them, and sell them to first-time homeowners, not to investors. We're not looking to bring in just all the investors in the community, because that's easy to do. Here we're creating home ownership, and for the properties that don't fit, we'll help them get loans to do renovation for the lower-end properties so they can create home ownership in your community. We can help the Section 8 renters do the Section 8 Choose to Home voucher program through Will County. Section 8 will pay up to 70% for 15 years for a W-2 employee. And if you're a senior citizen, a veteran, or permanently disabled, Section 8 will pay your mortgage for 30 years. And we'll help this process go through. And while we're working in the community, we'll use individuals in the community. We're guaranteed to make sure 20% of the workforce, we do on-the-job training in the community with the folks from the community. And part of this initiative doesn't cost the village money, because we spend the money to acquire the properties, do notifications for court filings, the MyDeck to review, and we bring the people to court, be it a bank, a private owner, and once that occurs, they have 90 days to prove up that they can fix the property. And if they can, they have to fix it. Or we assist the village in setting up fining processes, where they'll have to keep going to the courthouse to pay the fine if they don't fix the property. And then we'll set up an actual review that you'll know what's empty, blighted, and vacant in your community, so you'll have a registry for it. I don't know if you do or not, but this is part of the services that we do when we set up the home rule in an area. Any questions?
You said you sued. What happened with that issue when you were in the lawsuit, you said?
Oh, the lawsuits? Well, we sued Fleet Mortgage for $8.5 billion. That was the largest lawsuit where a nonprofit sued a financial institution. At the time, Roy Barnes he wasn't the mayor of Georgia at the time, he was an attorney, and he helped us sue. After that, we sued Bank Boston. We sued the Associates Bank for $500 million, which was a division of Ford Motor Company. We sued Barnett Bank. The guy called Fast Eddie was the name of the CEO at the time. During the foreclosure crisis, I took furniture to Jamie Dimon's house and left it in his driveway. We picketed in front of Fannie Mae, and they had snipers on the roof that kind of scared everybody. But it's about teaching financial literacy. And that's been my career for the past 27 years, educating our people and making a difference. And the only way you can do that out there is to be out there and do it. And a lot of people don't understand that they think mortgages and finance is hard. And the foreclosure crisis didn't happen because of greedy loan officers and appraisers. It was hedge funds, mortgage-backed securities. None of them went to jail. Just the people on the street doing the work went to jail. And I've been out here for the past 27 years watching it. And I've been working with churches to do, and churches are also allowed to do part of the faith-based initiative, where if they have a community development organization, they can get properties for HUD at no cost. And we also work with the NCST, which is the National Trust Fund, that allows us to pull properties in from Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and the Federal Home Loan Bank. So we're all certified. We have the funds that we've done over 1,000 rehabs in the past 10 years.
And just a brief analysis, just real quick with the mayor, just meeting with the mayor, I was able to just do a quick sample size. So this is not even a full sample size of what Don was saying. Just some of the properties that I was able to look at in University Park, and about over $170,000 of taxes that are not being utilized in the community, that are just sitting. So that's a lot of money that, no doubt, as I've sat through the whole meeting, that it can go to things like the young lady was saying for kids, of them doing things in the summer. I mean, we can go down a list. Right. So, and the major part to this is that this program costs the village no money at all. All right, so my firm takes on all, so I did this, my attorney and so forth, all this research, this is at my cost, right? And this costs the village nothing at all, right? So all we're doing is bringing back the tax rolls to the village at no cost.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys. Okay, all right. See, any other, managers, reports from the staff.
Good evening. Mayor, Board of Trustees, viewing ordinance. For our Public Works Department. Excuse me, I'm getting over a little cold. Thank God we made it through winter. Yes. Amen. We're heading to our spring, our summer season, where I understand about the potholes. We are
Please explain that.
We are out there now feeling, well, not now, but during our normal hours, we are out there patching potholes. I understand there are a lot of them. You gotta understand the severity of the weather that we did have this winter, where it would rain, it would get warm, then it would get sleet. So you gotta understand, our roads took a beating. More than the norm for the year. So we are diligently working to get the potholes repaired. At this time too, starting Monday, we will start our tree branch pickup. Starting Monday, every Monday from April 1st to, I believe, the end of October is every Monday. From now, April 1st until the end of October, we'll be doing our tree branch pickup. Bear with us. You know, I know it's a lot of trees, limbs down, there's a lot of potholes to be repaired, but believe me, we're doing all we can to get them done. I'm working on our mains, I'm working on streets that really need them right now. And you feel free to call my office, 534-4823. If you need any updates on anything that Public Works is doing, we're here to provide a service. And as long as I'm the director for this department, the services that we supposed to provide will be provided. Anybody that knows me in the village of University Park knows I stand behind my word, and my workers do too. So I would also like to say to Ms. Keisha Catchings, my condolences to her and her family at this time. You never know when your time may come, but when you know someone, she's a sweet person, so I just felt I should give my condolences, because if we love each other, we should, hold each other up in prayer. Amen. I'm not trying to say we're in church, but we should. Y'all gotta bear with me. I'm not used to being on the mic, and I'm learning my way through this. And I thank everybody for their patience with my department. Again, feel free to call the office. Any concerns, anything you see that's not right, or anything you think that we moving too slow, call my office. My door always open. 534-4823. And believe me, we are here to make sure that University Park residents get the services that the Public Works Department is supposed to provide. Okay? Thank you. That concludes my report.
Director, Ms. Atkins, I just have a little reminder, a refresher. As you pick up the broken tree pieces, can we maybe cut down some with the spring weather coming, all the rain and storms? We don't want one falling and hitting anybody. So some of those trees that are dead, if we can reach some of them.
I agree. I agree. And that's why I say, the residents to inform us, because we can't see everything. Right. But if I'm informed, we will cut down. But we normally cut branches unless it's hanging over the street or endangering residents. But we normally cut branches around October, November. That's the normal branch cutting season, or tree cutting season, as we will say. But if there are branches that's obstructing justice or anything, feel free to call 534-4823.
I have a question for you as well. We had a grant last year of trees. For every one tree that we took down, we inherited two. And we literally, Trustee Wilson and Clerk D. Jones and I were literally out there planting them. I agree. So I know I can ask the representative for that same grant for next year, but do we have any left over? Do we have any left over from last year?
So that grant is actually renewable, and they actually agreed to renew the grant the upcoming year. But in order to renew the grant, the village has to show progress in cutting down trees before they provide new ones. So that grant is available for reapplication.
And I know one particular tree we need to cut down because and I'll give you that information. A lady said it's causing her a lot, the roots are, when the tree is choking her pipes and she's paying a lot of money for that all the time. And then next thing is, we have will we be having a schedule of where you're going? Do you have a schedule of where you're gonna start doing what? What streets, what?
Well, right now, we're it's the, as they would call it, hot spots.
Right.
My mains, I want to make sure I get my mains first.
Okay.
And once I get my mains done, which they're done, now I'm starting moving to residential areas. And the residential areas, that the streets that need it the most, those are the streets that
Because the two streets that we had our engineers do a survey and they brought out the mechanics and the insurance. That was Abbott and Almstead.
And those are two
And
streets.
those ones that our engineers are looking for the fundings and things like that, what Mr. Adams said here today, that we can find fundings to repair that, but it's going to cost a lot. And I asked the people, it's been like this since 1982.
I agree.
So we've already estimated about the charge and we're trying to get the fundings now, so, and I'm working on that as well. That was a part of our cycle of funds that we requested, capital funds, so, okay, thank you very much.
Can I be acknowledged?
Yes, sir.
Director Darrell, can you let us know when we have the spring cleaning and we have the big dumpsters out in different locations in the village for spring cleaning for everyone? Can you
Yes,
let us
sir.
know?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Out when, you know?
Well, that's a schedule that the village manager puts out, so the village manager will be able to answer that question.
So I'll be working with Department of Public Works next week and come out with some dates, probably for the next following month, to have those houses ready to go.
The village should take advantage of it, and that's great. That was just for the whole village.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, any other? Oh, you had a question on the work on that?
They will be involved enough. Let's just to the thing.
Oh, okay.
It's okay?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, I'd like to know, when are we gonna have the money and where is it gonna come from for us to completely pave the streets? Not patch them up, but pave them. They need to be paved.
So we have two options. The first option is, as the mayor stated, we did request funding, we did do a funding request to the Capitol for a capital bill to do that. Prior to that funding request, we, through our financial advisor, we are looking at potentially getting a bond issue just to deal with road repair. So a bond that strictly will address all road issues, money that's going to be earmarked for all road-related repairs, trying to do it in one fell swoop. So we won't do that. I would tell you, the village has had a 5-year plan for 15 years and they're really abided by the 5-year plan. So for me to tell you, we're going to do a 5-year plan and that's what's going to occur, that's not realistic now. The condition of our roads right now, we need to get things done within 1 and 2 years because of the severe conditions. So once we get our financials in order and we're able to get everything stabilized, the board will let me know what their priorities are as far as funding. When we look at bond issues, I'm sure, pretty certain that one of those priorities are roads, because that's something that has been brought up. Roads and cutting down trees and infrastructure related improvements in the village. So I think that would be a big focus.
Well, do IDOT come in and help, the villages pave their streets?
I've never seen IDOT come to the village and do a municipal street. I've seen them do state routes, but I've never seen them come to municipal streets.
Okay, well, how about the county? We're like Will County.
County road.
Will County roads, we can inquire. Will County roads probably wouldn't take the liability to do our roads. Now, is there money available? We might be able to go to Will, mayor might be able to go to Will County and ask for fundings. But as far as them doing the work themselves, no, they're not going to assume that liability. Because you're talking about engineering and design and various other things that need to be done, they wouldn't assume that liability.
Well, I am talking, trustee, talking to John in Will County. He was on the county board, and I've had conversations with him. I'm always trying to fight for him to just get a light there in our intersection. But I do sit on the Will County mayor's board as well. So that's another object that we'll be bringing up, because we're all complaining about it. It's all of our mayors, so Will County and Southburg mayor managers. And also let you know, we did do, as far as the comprehensive plan, that's only visited every 17 years. And the 5-year plan, I've talked to Tony from CMAP, he will be coming to the village to do a workshop with us, because some things have been, 5-year plans and comprehensive plans, those are things that are set out, because I said on that also, the comprehensive, I said with the South Suburban Mayor Managers Planning Committee. And on that, we were talking about our fundings. That's why Lisa was here with us before and showing us we did get $3 million for our cable, our train station. So that would be totally 100% federally funded. They were in my office and showing and doing a presentation. So I talked to 2 years on that committee for that. But I will talk to, I'm on the CDD grant, a committee with Warren Walsh, so I will talk to him as well to see if we can get that, some type of justification funds from there as well. So I will be up on that and give you an update. Any others? Chief? Any other questions?
I was going to say, Manager Payne, so that Trustee Williams will just have a number in her head. And I know it's been a year since we had talked about it, and we know the roads are much worse, but our worst roads, are they still at about 600,000, the ones that we need to go in, like the ones that the mayor just spoke about?
So Abbott and Amherst comes out to be about, at the engineer estimates, it comes out to be about $520,000 just to do those 2 roads. There's just 2 roads, $520,000.
So we can't get grants from nobody to help us.
We have applied for grants. Most grants are for public roads that are used for transportation purposes, such as University Parkway, areas near Industrial Park. There are no grant programs out there that I've seen in 2.5 years I've been sitting here that address specifically residential roads. Even the village doesn't even get enough motor fuel tax money in to even do 1 road. So that's why we invest our motor fuel tax comes in about $180,000, $190,000 a year. That's not even enough to do 1 road. So we use that for public works related issues such as ordering salt and supplies and lawnmowers and various different things to kind of get the day-to-day done. I wish we were bigger like other municipalities where they can use their MFT fund to actually do roads, but we don't have that capability. So most municipal roads are self-funded by the municipality, and they're funded either, number one, if it's a cash-rich village that they get a lot of sales tax and a lot of economic development, the money comes out of the general fund, or it comes out of a bond issue that the village does and it rolls back into into the coffers to be paid back by the taxpayers through bond issues. So those are only 2 ways that we typically see in municipal work that those monies coming in, unless there's somebody private that's going to provide money. I don't foresee that occurring coming forward.
And the issue is too, Trustee, the bad part of MFT funds, with the previous governor that was there, he decreased the amount of MFT funds that was coming to us. So hopefully, until he will make it higher. I'm hoping that's what we're asking him for. So, but I did, like I said, in the capital bill request, I did request fundings for our roads, and that's for the $2 million we asked for. We'll see what we get. Okay, thank you. Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, Trustees, Department Heads, and General Public. Just a few quick announcements from the Fire Department. We've entered into a training partnership with the Orland Fire District to receive some free training for Fire Department command officers. The program is called Blue Card, which is it's a program designed to increase and improve our decision-making capabilities that allow us to make the right decisions faster, which allows us to put out fires, mitigate emergencies and things like that, with the efforts at being time efficient, resource efficient, and putting a stop on loss as quickly as we can. When it's all said and done, it's going to be about somewhere between 80 and 100 hours of training per officer, which includes the chiefs and the lieutenants. The Code Red community notification system is up online on the village website. All you have to do is go to the main page and look under Action Center for the Code Red icon to fill out the enrollment form to be notified of emergency situations in the village. It's already been talked about. The weather's going to start turning warmer out. That brings in additional weather threats like such as severe thunderstorms and you know, flooding and things like that. So this is the tool that we're going to use to get those notifications out to as many people as we can when the time comes. And one final thing, I want to mention to everyone out there that drives an automobile, when you see flashing lights along a highway, please slow down, move over, and give emergency workers room to work. That goes for fire equipment, it goes for police cars, public works vehicles, tow trucks, everything. So far this year in the state of Illinois, police officers have been paying a pretty high price. Up to 14 or 15 state trooper vehicles have already been struck on expressways throughout various parts of the state. So there's been a social media campaign to get the word out. When you see lights, slow down, move over, and stay alert out there. And that's my report.
Okay.
Trustee, you have a question?
Oh, no, I was going to ask you a question. Oh, Manager Pate, I did have the opportunity to speak with a couple of residents when I came back from football training. And my memory is a little cloudy here, but is it true?
Wear your helmet next time.
Well, my helmet? Concussion. Is it true we had 10 homicides in our village over the past 2 years? If you can help me with that, I don't believe we had that in multiple shootings.
Well, in 2018, we didn't have any homicides.
Thank God.
In 2017, I believe the number was 5.
5.
This year is 1, so that doesn't add to 10. So I don't know where that number will come from. I know that's been put out on social media multiple times.
Okay.
I don't know if they're confusing us with Park Forest or any other neighboring town, but that's not a factual number.
Now, those homicides, did they have anything to do with our youth, gang relation, or was it something isolated? And if you know what I mean, from working detectives, sometimes crime elements seem to come to our town, and you can't help if a homicide happens in your town. You have to handle it.
So most of nearly all of the crimes were premeditated crime-based actions. So the crimes were premeditated, or individuals end up stopping short of the border of University Park and an incident occurring, and some was gang-related shootings. Most of the criminal activity, gang activity has been quelled down pretty much by the police department. I thank Deputy Chief Wilson and her staff for the outstanding efforts they've been doing over the last 2 years in kind of quelling down and putting these bad guys in jail. We've had, we've been doing a lot of follow-up. We're doing a lot of things differently where we're bringing people to justice. And so you don't see these people on the street, you don't see these crimes occur. And again, I say in 2018, we had no homicides at all. So, this exorbitant number of 10, maybe they're including suicides, people that died of heart attack. I don't know where they're getting the number from,
Right.
But that's not a factual number.
Okay, good. And also, I want you're a police officer, and I'm a retired police officer. Can we, could you, if we can, because I had to also explain this to a resident, the young man that did the Orland Park shooting, could you kind of let him know that when that information was released, the NCIC, for those who don't know, that's a national database that police officers have in their squad cars that we run. So when I run up behind you and I'm running your plates, it's running your plates, it's running your license, and it's running through NCIC. If you're not a trained officer, and say for instance, I see University Park on there as an arrest, don't mean you live in University Park. I can't tell you how many times I've locked up people in Harvey who had the nerve to say, yeah, I live in Brittany Woods, University Park. And I'm like, no, you didn't. No, you don't. You don't live out there. So it is possible for that information from that Orland Park shooter, NCIC comes that information comes out, that does not mean that that guy is here in University Park causing problems with the University Park police. Is that correct?
That's correct. Most times, when law enforcement looks up data, a lot of it's from Secretary of State data that comes in. And as we know, and some of us may be victims of doing this, when we move, we don't change our addresses on our ID or driver's license. So sometimes that occurs, and sometimes it's where last location or the address that the person gives during an arrest. So if you're arrested and you give me an address and we enter that in the system, it shows as last known address based on what you give law enforcement. And I'll also say, when this incident occurred, and University Park address came, U.S. Marshal's Office, along with various other law enforcement agencies, immediately went to the address to check the address to make sure the individual wasn't there. So it wasn't hours or days that went by and nobody went to the house. Literally the same day of that shooting, within hours, you had law enforcement in University Park checking that address and checking every address that person has been known to stay in. So that is a possibility.
Okay. And then the last one, you said it earlier. I had to correct the resident, and I want you to say it one more time. We have had our audits taken care of, correct? There's no such thing as no audits wasn't done. You just sat here, the trustees just sat here, Liz got up here, I got up here, Curtis, we just sat up here, didn't do no audits. Audits have been getting done, correct?
Correct. And actually, you had no audits done from when I came here in 2015, and 208 for the mayor, but when I came here in 2015, we weren't current in audits. We just literally passed the 2015 audit December of last year. And the reason that occurred is because in 2016, individual in charge at the time laid off the entire finance department, so we were unable to do any type of financial operations at all. That is, there are reasons why we're in the financial condition that we are today, as far as audits and being compliant financially. So we are in a place where we are in draft status for 16 to 17 audits. Once we get our financials taken care of for FY 18 and 19, we're currently in FY 19. Those audits will be completed hopefully by the summer. Our goal is to be 100% compliant by the summer, and that's in regards to TIF audits, as well as the regular villages audits and financial reporting requirements.
Okay. And that report that IRH had, that had nothing to do with $40 billion, correct?
So,
oh God, $40 billion.
I will tell you, as you evaluate that number, that was that $39 million number was a initial preliminary report that IRH put out initially when they came out with their report.
Okay.
As we went through the numbers and looked at it, the actual monies that were unauthorized or used for inappropriate purposes was about 14 to 17 million, and that was traced to going into the payroll fund. Those are funds that were verifiably used. There were no funds that came from the TIF that went to anybody's personal bank account or anything. This is all these fund issuance issues is a clear mismanagement of funds by village management at the time. I can tell you.
Prior to you, right? Prior to you, right? You didn't do none of that, I can tell you that. But prior to you, correct?
Correct. So, I would tell you that a lot of these financial transactions the board was not aware of.
Thank you.
And then financial transactions that they may have been aware of, may be in a budgetary entry that's on the budget, but the board was educated and directed by the village manager at the time that these were appropriate expenses, and that's all the board has to go off of is the village manager providing them information, which is why, things occur. So,
and things are in place right now, to not interrupt
we
you.
have things in place right now.
If the TIF is removed, it has to go through our attorney.
Yeah, so right now, when we're dealing with TIF funds and TIF transactions, there's a triple review that's done. So it goes through the village attorney, they review the transaction and approve it. It comes through me for signature, and then the final transfer authority comes from the board through a motion. So no monies are moved out of the TIF fund without final board approval. That only started 2 years ago. Prior to that, monies were moved in and out of TIF fund without board approval or board knowledge. They may have shown on bills payable list and various other lists but the board was not provided knowledge that these funds were being provided out of TIP.
Okay, and I would like you to, just the last one was public safety, because I had the pleasure, the trustees was there, but you had the pleasure of explaining that we are in the process of hiring police officers. It's just, we can't hire police officers if the police academy there's only 3. Chicago, Illinois State Police, and University Park use PTI. They are full. In fact, Manager Pate, when I was chairman of the Police and Fire Commission, did you not come and give me a call and tell me to hire 3 officers, but I couldn't get them nowhere?
That's correct.
And we're going to the point that we're doing an emergency lateral. And when we do a lateral, trust me, that's you scraping for officers as a town. Manager Pate, you don't have to go through it because I probably just said it, but you are trying to hire police officers on the street as well as getting squad cars, because fellow trustee Milton Payton even mentioned as we cut the line out so we can get squad cars, am I correct?
That's correct. So the village has always been in an active role of hiring police officers. The issue is finding training dates for those police officers and getting them appropriate training. Another issue you run into is finding qualified personnel to come to be police officers. And thirdly, another difficulty that we've even run into with the fire department is we go through a process of hiring a police officer, and when we give them a start date, they say, another department hired me and I'm not coming to University Park now, so we have to start all over again. So it's not a fast process. It's not as fast as hiring a regular employee or somebody from Public Works or anybody like that. It's a very long process. The average time to hire a police officer is about 30 to 60 days based on background checks and polygraphs and various other processes that have to happen. Then you include training, you add 16 weeks to that, and then if you include them doing field training, that's another 16 weeks. So you're talking about 6 months, 7 months until you actually have an officer on the street ready to work. So, as you stated, the village is currently looking for police officers certified. That posting is advertised on the website and various other public places in regards to us hiring officers that are already certified and qualified. So that posting expires, I believe, on April 18th. Hopefully we get enough candidates in place where we can bring on 3 or 4 police officers. I admire the work of our police department. They've been doing a lot of hard work at short staff. Officers are working incredible amounts of overtime because of a staffing shortage. So we're working the best thing we can to hire police officers. To hear that we are not hiring police or money should be diverted to hire police and we're failing to hire police officers is not the right narrative to put out. We are trying to hire police officers, it's just the process is difficult. It's not that we have said we're not hiring police. And if anybody makes a statement stating that, we're moving too slow to hire police, then have your loved ones and relatives apply to be a police officer in University Park, because we do send you to training. So if you know anybody that wants to be a police officer, please encourage them to apply, because we need all the applicants we can. And so there's no issue as far as this board or my office and not hiring police. It's just the circumstances and situations that we're in right now. I have a deputy chief back here who's working double duty. She's sitting back there with her vest guarding the door because we don't have an officer to take off the street to sit and work the board meeting. The minute we take the officer off the street at night to work the board meeting, then we have residents on next on social media saying, why do we have an officer in the board meeting not on the street? So this is the situations that we deal with every day here. But just please know we're trying our best to get things accomplished and done in a timely manner.
Right. Thank you, Manager Pate.
Thank you.
What's an emergency lateral?
So, excuse me, we're not.
I just don't understand what you said, emergency lateral.
So I can answer that question. So what an emergency lateral hire is a police officer that's already trained as police, that has already worked at another police department. So they have 2 years of experience already as a police officer. So what that means is when we hire them, we don't have to send them to 16 weeks of training. They come right on, we put them through field training, and they go through an abbreviated field training program if they are proficient during our training process, and they can get on the street faster. So that is what that is. So once the Fire and Police Commission comes up with names, an ordinance is brought before the board to divert from normal practices based on the recommendation of the Fire and Police Commission, and these ordinance will have specific officer names on it for the board to approve to kind of circumvent the ordinance that's currently in place for entry-level hire. If that answers the question technically.
Okay. All right. No other court.
You know what?
We only have 3 minutes, everybody. You guys.
Trust me, I'm only going to take 1 minute, okay? But I want to thank you, Mayor, and the board, and also Manager Pate, for actually getting this accounting services team here to the village. I really do appreciate it. It may seem like that I didn't want them here, but trust me, I do want this service team here. I've been wanting them here since 2015. So trust me, I know that they're going to do a real good job, okay? But we're going to also have some financial statements to look at, finally. You know, our finance team, our finance committee, and then also the board and the treasurer of the village. So this is great news. And then also too, Director, I just want to tell you that I too was a person that did not like to speak. I had a hard time speaking, but I'm going to tell you something. Well, going back and forth with that man right over there with those glasses on, okay, Peyton, I can guarantee you that Peyton, Trustee Peyton, I guarantee you that he can, you know, bring your speaking up, because going back and forth with him, he can do that, okay? So, but thank you, residents, thank you again.
Thank you for attending the meeting too, Treasurer with me. Thank you. Okay, board. Okay.
Just something real quick. I want to say my prayers go out to Keisha for her father passing. I pray for her. I will be praying. If she needs me, all she has to do is call. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Trustee. Clerk T. Jones.
Thank you. I'm not going to get on my soapbox, but I am going to appeal to all of our residents to remember whose backs we stand on, whose shoulders we stand on. Don't stay at home on election day. No matter who you choose to vote for, remember a lot of people bled, died, and walked blisters on their feet for the right to vote. And I feel it is everybody's responsibility, since you have this right to vote, to exercise it. Let's eradicate voter apathy in this community. Bring a friend, send a friend, but let's turn out in record numbers in this election. Thank you. My condolences again to Keisha and her family. I've been there. It's not easy, but I do know your faith in God, and I know she is a godly young lady. Faith and time will help heal the pain. So let's all lift her and her family in prayer. I cannot forget this. This today, I experienced something that I have never experienced here at University Park. Thanks to Deborah J. Stroud, who became involved with the Northern Food Bank, Northern Illinois Food Bank. And she was able to get the initiative to bring that food bank here to 90 Town Center with Deborah Stroud and Keely Childress to see the work that they did. Public Works Department set up everything. You know, they were on the job. But to see the efforts of these young ladies and representatives from Faith Movers, First Baptist Church, and some of our community people to see what they did and to see the tears of joy from our seniors for what they got and for this effort. I truly hope this is something that will continue. It would be nice if we could have our own station right here to continue this service. So I just wanted to applaud Debbie Strong and Keely Childress. They did it like I've never seen it. Can't forget our fire department. They were setting on point. Just in case people got too excited about what was happening, they were here. But I just wanted to applaud them and thank the Northern Illinois Food Bank for allowing this to happen here in our community.
Okay, sure. Yes.
Thank you very much for bringing it to the attention.
Come to the mic so that, they can be recorded, if you don't mind. Okay.
Thank you for bringing it out that every table that is here was full of food. Unfortunately, communications media had informed us we could not take pictures. Yet when they brought in the photo release, it was too late for us to take the photos of all the food. Director Bell was here, fire department was here, and like Clerk Jones said, I can honestly say from the hours of 10:30 to noon, 59 people either walked in the door or rolled in the door on their walkers. And that was the compliment. I gotta give Keely the top compliment because she drove back and forth to Thornwood. And then after we wrapped up here, we were able to take food to 17 other people at Thornwood that they're ADA, they want to come out, but they can't. So my heart is very full for making that happen for residents of this community. And I really ask, with everything that's going on, the airport, the hotels, the motels, please consider we're a food desert. It means so much. It meant so much to every resident that came in the door. But thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Strauss, we will continue that. I know the lady that runs the Northern Food Bank, and also there was a minister at my office Friday. He's willing to come in, and I'll give you his number. They give food, he said healthy food, 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay.
So I'll give you a connection.
Well, if you had seen the food that was here, between the
I know Northern
onions,
does. Yes.
the meats alone, I mean, everybody knows the cost of meat. So, thank you again for allowing us to have it here. As the prototype, it gives me all the pride in the world. It really does to have had it here.
We appreciate
Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening. I'd just like to remind the community about Human Service Special Events Committee. We meet on the second Thursdays of every month, so our next meeting will be April 11th. I don't have Ms. Sonia Jenkins' phone number, so I'm hoping somebody who communicates with her can let her know to reach out to me. I talked with her about starting a community garden. Not sure if we'll use over there or some other land, but anybody interested in working on a community garden, please come to Human Services Special Events Committee. The spring is coming, and that's when you start planning. And last but not least, my condolences to Ms. Kitching, who is also on the Human Services Special Events Committee. We will be reaching out to her.
Madam Mayor, I would like to yield my time that I did have left to Trustee Payton, who took it last meeting when I wasn't here.
What time have you got left?
I give my condolences, Madam Mayor, to Keisha. I know her dad. I'll say more later, but that's it. God bless.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Our condolences go out to Ms. Kitchen right now.
I think your mic's working.
Oh, now you can hear it. Keisha, our condolences go out to you and your family, you know, for the loss of your father, and the prayers are with you, okay? I would like to acknowledge two individuals that I have the pleasure of sitting by, and I had the pleasure of sitting by for the last two years. They're about to walk off into the sunset, and they're about to retire. I don't know about walking off, but Councilor Brown, Councilor Brown, and Trustee Payton, we both enjoyed you up here, and this village has been moving the last 2 years like never before, never before. And it's because of you two, and I appreciate you two. I appreciate the push forward for this village, because you know this village was in deep trouble. And right now, we have made some momentous strides. I've never seen a village move the way it's moved. And all of the people that were silent all those years, that are coming out of the woodwork now with misinformation, they should have been strong or full of courage then, but they seem to have courage now. But I thank you for your service. It's been 8 years for Trustee Payton. It's been 12 years for Councilor Brown. And I appreciate you. And I think we should applaud you for being up here for public service for 12 years and 8 years. I appreciate it. And one thing I would like to acknowledge, when you're a bad man, you can have a part of a building named after you. Man, you're a bad man. I appreciate you, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you. You'll be here a couple of times.
Well, thank you, Trustee McMullen. Flattery will get you everywhere. and you know, I've only got a very little time here, since Trustee Brooks really did use up my time as well. Right? My condolences to the Kitchens family, again, as everyone else has mentioned here. I would like to say that part of the reason why the village is moving forward, not only with this board, but because we've got an excellent village manager who has bulldog things. Now, sometimes he's rubbed some of us the wrong way at times, but there's no denying that this ship would not have moved in the direction it has moved without him cracking the whip and getting things done. So we really appreciate it, particularly for the financial condition that we're finding our way into right now. I want to just mention also, he mentioned not only that the audits are on the verge of being completed. First time this has ever happened since I've been in the village, which is 30 years, where they've been, well, at least for 25 years that I've been involved with the Finance Committee, that they have been or will be current. And not only that, it'll be the first time where we're going to have unqualified audits.
Yes.
Which means that there's no problem.
Yes.
Okay, that's really saying something.
Yes.
And so, you know, really appreciate that. Other than that, I really don't have anything to say.
Love you, man.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for acknowledging me. First, I would like to offer my condolences to the Kitchen family for the loss of their father. You know, mine just got pretty good news the other day. I'm glad it worked out that way, but I feel for you and I feel for your loss, and there's something I can do, just let me know. Council, thank you for that catch earlier. I was going under the assumption, and over a quick read of the statute, or the ordinance that we are putting together, that the change had not made in there. Thank you for pointing that out. I guess I'll have to demonstrate some courage today. Parks and Recreation, Mayor Inye, without a contract. Those two things happened in the year 2017. Now, my math could be funny or on this one, but I believe that was when these three trustees got up here. Our Parks and Recreation Department being cut. That happened when these three trustees were up here. You know, I get to see now, looking through my colleague's folder, that the Abraham Lincoln National Air Commission, which we were a proud founding member of, the leader of, and took action for, we are now not a part of. I have to look at the same pictures that we were looking at when there was an ALNAC and say that we now have to become or find a seat at the table. I want to tell you that we have lost a couple of things. You know, I listened to a very long presentation about the, I believe it's the IRH report. And we talked about, went from 38 to 14, I think it was about 28 million in that report the last time I looked at it. I have to say I did not memorize that. It was a pretty long report with several volumes of supporting data. But we didn't talk about the wire transfers that facilitated some of these actions and who signed them when we were talking about how great they were. You know, we have to make a decision. I mean, I'm going to say that John F. Kennedy put it like this, and this is especially true, at least it is for me right now. In your hands, my fellow citizens, more than mine will rest the final success or failure of our course. I hate to tell you this, but you know, I only have a couple of more of these left, and I can only speak out like this for a couple of more times, like I've kind of always done. But contrary to Curtis's great, Trustee McMullen, I get to say Curtis at the last one. But contrary to Trustee McMullen's acknowledgement and things, yes, I have served 12 years. But the way I like to put it, there is a time and a place for everything. I think the Bible put it like it's a time to weep and a time to mourn. Then there's also a time to sing and a time to dance. And perhaps for me, there may be a time to return. So this is not goodbye as of yet. You never know. I might want to serve with a pretty good mayor, like it is. But the reason why I want to end with this, and I think this is of the utmost importance, that eventually, come April 2nd, we will get to select a bunch of candidates, but what you should really focus on is transparency and issues that affect us all, no matter who you support and who you don't support, no matter if you're running for office and if you're not. Recently, our school board, in their infinite wisdom, decided that, hey, it might be a good idea for us to put a bond issue now that's going to raise your taxes in the future and use a process that is called a backdoor referendum to effectively raise your taxes for the next 20 years. They were going to come up with a plan where they close down the school in one city, open 2 new schools in another city, and then do work that was supposed to be done according to a consent decree in one city. And that city where the school is closed and the work was supposed to be done is ours. I encourage all of you to vote yes, whether you support such a plan or not. What should be the ultimate objective is that you, my friends, my fellow citizens, should be able to decide it before an elected school board, granted, but an elected school board that didn't follow the rules of the state of Illinois, or as we call them there, statutes of Illinois. Before they do something like that, perhaps you would like to have a say. Perhaps you want us to tell them and send them a clear message that this is what we should do. You should come to us if you want to close a school, do a backdoor referendum, and raise your taxes 20 years in the future. You should come and tell us about it first. and let us have a say in it and about a referendum. Yes, the referendum is non-binding, but it is important, so I encourage all of you to vote yes and support those who support that. All right, that's it.
Thank you. Everyone, I thank everyone for coming out this evening. I'm very, very appreciative. I appreciate you and what you do and how you do it. I will not slander, or there's been a lot of mudslinging out here. I wish the village would just get together and just put out what you know, what you do. We shouldn't do that. We should love one another. And we had these terrible, we used to be like that. I had a newspaper I wanted to show that Barbara McKinley Lewis used to do. When you ran for office, you put down where you worked, what you've done, your accomplishments and your goals. We never had it this nasty. If you were required, if you had leadership background or whatever. What's going on right now is just absolutely terrible. And I hope that it doesn't cause any physical harm. So I was approached on the street. It's getting that nasty from a man who jumped out of the truck at me. So it's not that serious. Be involved at all times, not just right now. Let's just love each other as a community, bring our ideas together and make it happen. Put our, like Trustee, I miss him tremendously, Trustee Milton Payton. We worked in this village for I don't know how many years. He was at my wedding in 1997. He was a volunteer, I was a volunteer. Volunteer and know where you live in. Know the people that you're working with. Ms. Strauss has been here forever, doing the same things, volunteering, helping. We love our community. Nobody's lacking anything. We inherited a lot, now we're trying to fix it. But don't slander people for what trying to do something. Don't lie on people. Let's not do that, people. I wish I could burn next door. It's so bad, but sometimes it can cause harm to people. Everybody doesn't take criticism good. And I just wish that we could be who we are and accept things. And that's why I had Rick to come here tonight about LNAC. He said, I'm so tired of people approaching me. It doesn't exist anymore, Mayor. It's over. It's nothing. They did that. State took it over years ago. And I'm happy that it's moving forward. We're working very, very hard on it. And I'm working not only locally, I'm working nationally to get even more fundings for this village, which I did. And I will continue to do. But what I won't do is have to talk about someone. Don't do that. That's so small. You're so small. And people, my grandson shared with me, critical thinking, we don't do that anymore. When someone tells you something, just don't take it. Ask why. Be intelligent about it. When they bring you things, why you do, okay, tell me what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. That's the way we used to do it when we ran for office. And it was clean and it was good. And that's what University Park used to be, and I believe that it will come back. And my heart goes out to Keisha and her father. It was a wild process that she was going through. And nobody knows what you're going through in your life. So that's why you don't bother people. But somebody, that's why they got the show snap. You never know. Don't push people further than you do. You don't know what's going on with them. And my heart goes out for New Zealand, because God, I guess that's my fault too. People are still in New Zealand. Everything that happens is your fault. And as far as transfers, that didn't happen. That's the way they're saying it is. Don't know anything about it. That's what's so sad. But everybody has an opinion. Like Milton Payton used to say, everybody has one. Some of them just think. So just be kind and be humorous and be friendly to one another. We used to have a good time with family friends. We used to be associated. Miss Bowling was wonderful years ago. She remember when we had good times and shared food with everyone. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. And also, I'd like to say, again, pray for those that despitefully use you. Pray for them. Because they don't know the danger they're in. Every time you say something against people, God's going to bring it back to your soul, to your bosom, double fold, Deuteronomy. Be very careful. I'm not afraid of anybody but God. And I'm going to tell you this. I love each and every one of you, and you can't do anything about it. I ask for an adjournment.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Wilson. I'm sorry, we have to go into executive session. for personnel. Do I get a motion to go into executive session? Moved by trustee Beckett.